Spectacular sunshine in Scottsdale. It is Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, and the final week of Cactus League play has the Sox on the road to battle with the Snakes, the Arizona Diamondbacks, today's opponents. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and we've talked about it all spring. The headliner remains for the Sox, the depth of talent in the farm system.
They're young, they're very good, and under Ricky Renteria, they're very aggressive. And let's take a look at where they rank in the top 100 in the major leagues. Eloy Jimenez has been all everything. Hard-throwing Michael Kopech right there with Robert and Hansen and Cease and Dunning. Rutherford with a chance from the left side. Jake Berger, unfortunately, a lost year for him due to injury. Zach Collins and Carson Fulmer, who we will see today in what for him is going to be a very big outing.
Hey, you talked about the injuries as well. Berger is hurt. Luis Robert dinged up a little bit, but that's why you have depth in the farm system, certainly.
There is no doubt you have to have some insurance policies when you talk about major league players, whether they're rookies or veterans. You hate to see the rookies miss at bats or innings pitched, but it happens. It doesn't push them back that far because they're very young. I'm looking for big things out of all the guys who are currently hurt and not participating.
Saw Carson Fulmer on that list at number 10, according to MLB.com in the Sox farm system. And this is a huge start for Fulmer, according to Ricky Renteria.
I think that Fulmer's going out there. Our hopes is that we're going to allow Fulmer to be who he is, see if he can have what everybody hopes to be a positive outing. We believe we have a guy that has the capability of pitching in the big leagues successfully. I think that we're at a point in time right now where we're going to continue to try to evaluate over the next couple of starts, today being one of them, to determine what we're going to do. But I think, as far as I'm concerned right now, he went out and had a nice last month of the season for us, really improved. We think he can build on that. We'll take the spring with a grain of salt, but we'll use some of it to determine what exactly that we need to do to help him continue to improve.
Let's take a look at the starting rotation and how it's projected. James Shields at the top. Lucas Giolito had a great run last year. Ronaldo Lopez, Miguel Gonzalez, and the aforementioned Carson Fulmer. The big outing for him today in the challenge, locate the fastball. If he locates the fastball, he's going to be very good. And, of course, Sox waiting for Carlos Rodon. They don't know exactly when. When he does, he's moving back into the rotation. Right now, all five of these guys have the spot. Carson Fulmer, for his point, this year the control hasn't been quite as well as it was, but last year he looked like he took that step forward. Now take another one, and he's got a chance to be something special.
And one of the guys that could battle for a spot in the rotation at some point this season, Hector Santiago, may pitch in this game too.
There is no doubt that Santiago's got a great arm. We've seen him before. He's a terrific kid, and the arm hasn't gone away. He took away the screwball, diminished it, but whether it's out of the bullpen or in the rotation, he's an asset to the organization. I'm happy having him back.
Sox and Diamondbacks here in spring training from Scottsdale. First pitch is just around the corner. Bridging the gap between March and the beginning of the regular season. That's called talking to the pictures, folks. Sox and Diamondbacks getting ready for spring training game number 1 of 3 in a row here on NBC Sports Chicago. Glad to have you along for the ride. Big start, as we told you, for Carson Fulmer. He goes out to the mound in the bottom of the first inning. You'll see Yoan Moncada at the top of the order when we come back. We'll tell you why that's interesting when we return. Baseball here in Scottsdale. Sox on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Game 1 of 3 in a row here on NBC Sports Chicago. White Sox lineup goes a little bit something like this for Ricky Renteria today. Yoan Moncada at the top of the card, then Avi Garcia in the 2 spot. Jose Abreu 3, Nicky Delmonico 4 in left field, and Matt Davidson at 3rd, Wellington Castillo, the newcomer catcher, Tim Anderson in the 7th spot where he's been quite a bit this spring, Matt Skoll, and Adam Engel batting up.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to run out there for the Diamondbacks. We'll go left to right at Hazelbaker, Pollock, and Dyson. You might remember him from Kansas City, normally a center fielder, along with Owings, Ahmed, who's a defensive wizard, Descalso, Goldschmidt, their star in all everything, and you're very familiar with Alex Avila. On the mound, Albert Suarez, who's trying to make this ball club and trying to make an impression. He's had a nice spring. He moves the ball around, not overwhelming, tops out 92-93. I think you're going to like him. There's a look at the umpires. That's Alfonso Marquez behind the plate. Then it's Jeff Nelson, Ron Culpa, and Adrian Johnson moving around the bases. And we are ready for baseball. Welcome back, Jason, and take it away.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Glad to be with you once again here on NBC Sports Chicago. As Suarez, who came over from the Giants, one of those flex guys, can either start or relieve, throws pitch number 1 to Yoan Moncada.
You know, inquiring minds want to know why exactly it's so important for Moncada hitting in the leadoff spot.
So you were hooked by the tees going to break?
I was. I thought the tees was magnificent.
Ball and a strike. Yoan Moncada, in his time with Boston very briefly a couple of years ago and with the Sox last year, has never batted 1 in the lineup in a regular season game in Major League Baseball. And so you'd imagine with the way the lineup's been stacked here in spring training, that's going to change.
Looking at the lineup up and down, I mean, look, Avi hit 330 last year. Abreu and Delmonico in the middle. Davidson with big thunder. You need some table setters, and at least early in his career, Moncada will be one of those table setters. I like him at the top. I think later in his career he moves down in the lineup, but right now it serves the purposes of not only Moncada, but certainly of the White Sox.
He has said as well that he enjoys the top of the lineup card.
He's got a pretty good eye. Second half of the season, he led the Sox in walks, which is exactly what you want from your leadoff man, but also he's got big speed. He can drive pitchers to distraction.
Lays off that pitch in the dirt, 3-2 on Moncada.
Love the fact he laid off 2 very close breaking balls last year. At times he wouldn't have laid off those. Now it looks like he's feeling a little more comfortable. And Suarez tries to bury it down and in. Good check by Moncada.
8 walks, 14 strikeouts so far this spring for Yoan, who grounds it to first, and Goldschmidt for out number 1. Diamondbacks coming off that playoff season. They were winners in the wild card against the Rockies thanks to the powerful hitting of Archie Bradley in that game.
Archie Bradley is their jack of all trades. I mean, he can use outs anywhere from the 6th through the 9th if need be, and he's become a really valuable member of this team. And I just remember the ball kind of cascading out in the outfield. I don't know if the most surprised guy in the team was Bradley, but it looked pretty good from a Diamondback standpoint.
He was gunning it around the bases too. Got himself a triple out of the deal. Strike number 1 to Avi Garcia, who's in right field and batting second today. Sox All-Star from last year, trying to build on a career season. Left side of the infield, and Owings for round number 2. What a beautiful place to watch a baseball game this is, by the way.
Well, the facility houses both the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's a beautiful, beautiful ballpark left to right. I mean, it's got the berm where a lot of teams have that, but it's a good-looking park. The mountains in the background are spectacular. This is Arizona is just a great place for spring training. This is one of the finer facilities in Arizona.
A lot of tanners out there in the outfield berm. Two down for Jose Abreu in that familiar 3 position. Boy, Diamondbacks are hot. 9-3-1 their last 13 games. Look out.
93 wins last year. Everybody picking him for second behind the Dodgers. And obviously, everybody knows the Dodgers are a team to catch, but the Diamondbacks think they can be in it all the way, and maybe with some changes a little bit down the road, they can actually get there. Be a monumental task upsetting the Dodgers, but you know, Goldschmidt, terrific. I think the key to this team, keeping A.J. Pollock healthy. Last year he was. When he is, the Diamondbacks are a much better team.
Yeah, I remember spring training a couple of years ago. At the very end of spring training, he ends up out for the year and just demoralizes the season.
Their challenge, and they're trying to do it with Steven Souza, but their challenge is to replace at least the second part of the year, J.D. Martinez. Martinez moved on to Boston. He had Big Thunder in the middle. They think Souza can field a whole lot better, which he can, and they believe that that bat will come alive. They believe it's a great fit.
Who was it? Was it the Scherzer perfect game that he saved with that diving catch in the outfield, Souza? I don't remember which pitcher it was, but he had a diving play out in left field for the Nationals that was outstanding to save a big day.
Well, we saw him there. We saw him in Tampa Bay. He can field, and he can put a charge into it, so he's going to very much help the Diamondbacks.
3-1 to Abreu. That's outside. Jose draws a 2-out walk here in the first. And they had some speed too. You mentioned Gerard Dyson over from Kansas City. Where he fits necessarily don't know yet. Maybe a bench player, but certainly some great speed there.
Well, I think they like him as a 4th outfielder, and the best thing about your 4th outfielder, it really helps if he can play center field. And, you know, it's insurance policy against Pollock. Something happens to Pollock, Dyson can move in seamlessly. He's not Pollock, but he does put the bat on the ball. And when he gets on first, he's probably going to steal second and possibly third.
Nicky Delmonico jabs a bunt down, and Suarez throws him out. That will do it for the Sox. First inning. Carson Fulmer out to the hill when we return to Scottsdale. for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Gerard Dyson off the top, then Pollock, who we talked about in center field. Goldschmidt, Alex Avila bats fourth. Yasmani Tomas DHs. Owings at third, Descalso at second. Nick Ahmed, a great shortstop, eighth. Then Jeremy Hazelbaker, formerly of the Red Sox and Cardinal, ninth.
Let's take a look at the defense, and now Ricky's going to put them out there today. It's Nicky, Adam, and Avaseil in the outfield, with Matt, Tim, Yohan, and Jose in the infield. Wellington behind the plate, and Carson Fulmer on the hill. There you look at the spring. Quite obviously, it's the spring. What he's looking for today is quite simply fastball location. Don Cooper has said time and time again, cannot win in the major leagues unless you can locate your fastball. Carson's trying to do it, especially inside to left-handers.
So if I'm sitting at home, how am I evaluating whether or not the fastball is where he wants it?
Well, first of all, the first thing you look is where Castillo is going to set up. And depending on where he sets up, that's essentially where Carson would like to throw it, within an inch or so. Sometimes that inch better be not over the plate, it better be inside.
Get your whistle.
And also, if he establishes the fastball and he can throw it anywhere at any time, it opens up the world of his other pitches. When you establish that you can't locate your fastball, the hitter just takes it, looks for your comfort pitch, which some guys it's a slider, some guys it's the curve. So it really narrows what you have to look for.
Inside, 2 balls and a strike on Dyson, over as a free agent signee about a month ago.
A man that you would dearly love to keep off base. Number one, because Carson is throwing from the windup. Dyson gets on, you have to move to the stretch. You don't want to do it that early in the first inning with a speed burner on first base.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Dyson. You heard Ricky Renteria in our pregame talking about Carson Fulmer's appearances last year. It was 5 starts, 7 total, 2 out of the bullpen, 23 1/3, 16 hits, and a 3.86 ERA. He got better as it went along.
There is no doubt that he took the step forward. Now, as a very young pitcher, he has to continue to do that. But he showed a lot of promising signs during the course of the season. That's why nobody too upset about spring training.
Called strike 3 on the inside corner.
That's exactly what he has to establish. A terrific pitch by Carson. Again, scouting reports, lots of scouts, especially late in spring training, they want to see him do this. If he can do that, it opens up the outside, it opens up the cutter inside, it opens up for any type of breaking ball at any speed, and you keep Dyson off base. Very good sign from Carson Fulmer.
Well, you said it right off the top. Establish the fastball, throw it where you want to throw it, and there it was.
And especially inside to left-handers, which, by the way, is about the toughest thing for a right-hand pitcher. Most of them are arm side strong. Arm side strong is just what you see. Into a right-hander, away from a left-hander. Glove side strong, not quite as many pitchers can do that. That's why it's difficult. That's why a lot of right-handers came up with cutters to left-handers to get the ball into them.
Why is that so hard for a right-hander?
Again, because most of them are arm side strong, not glove side strong.
Check swing a little bit outside. Plate umpire Alfonso Marquez today. Four-man crew, as you might expect. It's hard to believe we only have 10 days until the opener. Matt Davidson plays third today, and he's on target for round number 2.
You know, at the top of the show, we had an interview with Ricky Renteria, and one of the things he said I really like, because it holds true. There is more misevaluation in Arizona than any place else. And he was talking about what Carson did last year as far as evaluating him, as opposed to what he's done this spring. So they're looking for a few things. One of the things they're looking for is what he just did to Dyson. But the other thing is they're going to count more heavily on what he did in season last year than what he's done in the spring. I think it's wise. I think it's accurate. And I think, you know, with Ricky Renteria and Don Cooper and Kurt Hassler, I think they certainly understand that.
Well, and again, we're not watching necessarily for outs or for specific results off the bat or whatever it might be, but that location, as you were talking about on the Dyson strikeout, is a capital G good sign.
After this pitch, I'll explain something about what they're looking for in spring training.
Oh, you're getting into the tease racket now, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
nice.
It's after the pitch. Here's the thing. They don't care about base hits. They don't care about outs. What they care about is the sweet spot of the bat. Keep the ball out of the sweet spot. Off the end of the bat or just above the hands, that's what they're looking for. So even if you give up 5 hits in a row, if they're all off, the hands and the end of the bat, well, the pitcher's done his job. He's beaten the hitter just got lucky. The more good pitches you make, obviously, the more outs.
So for the StatCast folks, we're looking for exit velocity.
Exit velocity is the whole key. I mean, the ball gets through the infield. Everybody talks about a home run. Well, if you hit it 420, that's good. If it goes 430, the pitcher doesn't care. It's a home run anyway. So it's going through the infield. And in Arizona, with rock-hard infields, it goes through a lot more quickly than it will when everybody heads north.
1-2 for one of the great power hitters, Paul Goldschmidt. Off the plate, 2-2.
This is the heart and soul of the ball club, not only with his bat, but certainly with his glove. There's a familiar face, Alex Avila, hitting cleanup today. And they're going to go with 3 catchers, which is somewhat unusual, but they have a couple of guys that don't have any options left.
3-2 on Goldschmidt, who last year tied a career high with 36 home runs, 5 straight All-Star games for Goldschmidt dating back to 2013.
Quality player, star of the team. They're not sure quite yet, depending on how the Diamondbacks go, if they're going to be able to keep him beyond what his current contract says. Because in the open market, this guy brings back a bundle.
He's an 8th-round draft pick.
And the thing they have to worry about in Arizona, and it's not really a worry, it's for the first year they're using a humidor for the baseballs before the game. Just like Colorado, they've never used it here. They don't know if the power production is going to go down across the board. Nobody really knows because they haven't done it. We will see early if Goldschmidt has the same amount of home runs, if Lamb can hit the ball out of the park consistently. I mean, if Souza can take it out of the ballpark. They won't know how it's going to play in Arizona until they start playing.
Line drive to second, and there's out number 3. You can talk in the break about how you would prepare Lamb in a humidor at home. No score after 1. Ford stores are proud to present the opening day Ford Drive Around that is, on Thursday, April 5th. They have your disease at 3:10 p.m. at Guaranteed Rate Field. Be sure to arrive early to see the introduction of your favorite Chicago White Sox players and coaches, presented by your local Ford stores. Together, we'll go further. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com. That's the Ford Drive Around, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, I would hate to think that that's an age joke because I have a few friends of mine who, like you, have some legal background.
No, that was a literacy issue more than a senescence. issue.
A senescence?
Yeah.
Is that like a smell thing? What is senescence?
Yeah. You have a senescence of smell. It gets worse as you grow older. Here's Matt Davidson, who's having a very nice spring training. So great to be back with you for White Sox baseball. Suarez walked Abreu in the first. No hits so far, and Davidson takes strike number one. What a turn it was for Matt Davidson, and we've talked a little bit about this, but his confidence has grown. He's become one of the major presences in that White Sox clubhouse.
I love the fact that, you know, seemingly as a hitter, he came alive last year. He was a force. You had to really think about how you're going to deal with him.
Opposite way for a base hit here in the second, and Davidson is on to bring up Castillo.
Well, Davidson very familiar with this Diamondback organization. That's where he came to prominence, and that's where he started. And at that point, he had a big swing, hit the ball out of the park, struck out very frequently, and very rarely took hanging breaking balls middle out to right field. But he's got such big power, he's going to spend a lot of time someplace in this lineup. He's certainly going to play third, occasionally first to give Abreu a break, occasionally the DH. You're going to see Matt Davidson in this lineup a whole lot because he's got some thunder.
There was a time in AAA, I saw him a couple years ago when he was in Charlotte, where it was just slider, 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 see ya. He's done. And he has made significant adjustments as Castillo takes ball number one.
This is another upgrade to the ball club behind the plate. Wellington can really swing it, and he also has a pretty good arm, and we saw that. But just his presence offensively, I mean, if you can put your catcher somewhere close to the middle of the order, that's pretty good.
He's laughing because the PA announcer didn't announce him until after the first pitch. And he looked over his shoulders and said, yeah, it's me.
It's me.
I knew I was here. Castillo rips it to center field. The Sox have something bubbling here in the second against Suarez.
Wellington can hit it. And what's going to be interesting to see how the offense from the catching position consistently is going to play out.
Sox have had essentially rotating catchers at the position the last couple of years with Alex Avila and Diana Navarro 2 seasons ago, Omar Narvaez, Kevin Smith last year after the Tyler Flowers era. Anderson batting 7th, a spot he's occupied quite a bit this spring, and he takes strike one. Davidson at second, Castillo at first. First time through the order for the Sox in this game against Arizona, who they see a couple of times this week. And a look at second.
Kind of interesting that Tim showed bunt on the first pitch, only because that great debate. Do you bunt in this situation? Do you let him hit away? What's best for the ball club? What's best for Tim? I think maybe the practice of at least trying to lay it down might serve him well, because he's going to be asked to lay it down during the course of the season. Not necessarily in this situation, but certainly in many of them.
Third base side, good bunt. Suarez has to chase it down and just barely nips Anderson for out number one.
That was a heck of a play. First of all, the pitcher is going away from the throw. He realizes he's got no play at third base, and he's got to spin, locate first base, and this is a great bunt. A lot of pitchers, this is easily a base hit, especially with Tim's speed. Suarez makes a very good play, gets the first out, but the runners move up. Again, something that Ricky Renteria wants to see. You put on the bunt, guy takes the first pitch and then lays down a perfect bunt and almost beats it. Well executed.
For the anti-bunt crowd, maybe the better lesson is if the manager asks you to do something and you do it, you gain favor and you gain trust.
You might not do it the first 6 innings of a game, maybe the first 7 innings of the game, but late in every ball game, if it's going to win you the game, you're going to be asked to bunt, and your manager wants you to lay it down. That's why Tim doing what he did does. You're exactly right. give everybody confidence that if you ask him to do it, he gets it done.
Matt Skoll, the designated hitter, formerly of the Nationals organization. And you remember hearing about Matt Skoll coming out of Georgia Tech. He had some big-time power.
And Georgia Tech has turned out some pretty big-time players. So it's a nice program down there, and Matt is one of those guys. Again, if you can establish that you can hit major league pitchers, you might move around a time or two, and nobody knows when you're going to hit gold. Some guys, it's the third organization. Some guys, the fourth. For me, it was the fifth. I mean, that's really what happened. And for a lot of these guys, it's the same thing. You kick around, and all of a sudden the light turns on. You got yourself a pretty good player.
Suarez missed badly on 3, so with Engel on deck, 3-0 on Skoll, who was the Nationals minor league player of the year 6 years ago before some injury trouble. Castillo at second, Davidson at third. And ball 4 to Skoll, bases loaded, 1 down.
We've talked a lot about the new hand position, the new foot position. Adam just has renewed confidence right now, and watching him play in center field as we're having a meeting at the mound.
That's 1.
Is it 1, or is it considered how many people you send to the mound? Like if a lot of people from the dugout go to the mound, can you get all 6 in just one trip?
Diamondback table for 7, please. Where'd you like to sit? Inside, outside, or on the mound?
Well, we're going to see a whole different world, and let's say judicious amounts of visits. So go on to the day, and I know he doesn't catch anymore, where Joe Mauer makes those 14, 15 trips to the mound. Now we're going to speed it up a bit. They're not going to make quite as many trips, and it's not only Joe. Obviously, a lot of catchers want to go to the mound. Lots of guys will come in from third or first base to come in from the mound, or whatever the case may be. Now we're going to see a little bit, well, a lot less of that. We're going to see speedier games because of that. Not drastically, but subtly.
You're the king of subtle, so you would know.
It's my middle name.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah, SSS.
So your initials are just a hissing sound. That's shocking.
Well, just for the Diamondbacks.
Engel to take strike number 1. This is your opportunity to locate your mute button on your remote. Davidson at third, Castillo at second, Skoll at first.
Excuse me, Russ? Oh, sorry.
Oh, boy. Ouch. Ball and a strike on Engel. And you talked about the different positioning for Adam. The load is different going backward to get set for the pitch.
You know, credit him. Offensively, obviously not a really good year, but he figured out that, you know, it's even if it was 200 instead of in the 160s, it's still not good enough for him, and he reworked everything, and only hard work enabled him to do it. And a lot of players won't recognize that, and they'll go, you know, and search for answers in 15 different places. He got a lot of answers from inside. He figured, okay, this didn't work, that didn't work, so let's take everything aside, let's rework it myself, and work really hard at a brand new hand position, the brand new load as you're talking about, the brand new foot position, and it seems to be working pretty well.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Talking to him in spring training last year, and you talked to him on Friday during the game, he is very much a craftsman about hitting.
He was wonderful in that interview. He really broke everything down, and I asked him, what's the most important thing? You know, I talked about approach, and I talked about a few other things, and he said it depends on what time of the game it is.
Slapped through the right side. Adam Engel with a base hit. Davidson home. Castillo to follow, and he's there safely. It's 2-0 Sox here in the second, thanks to Adam Engel.
I think Adam is going to hit much better than 230. But let me put how good he is on defense. If he hits through 230 the way he can play defense, he's going to be very valuable. That was a slider that hung up in the zone. Take a look at the side. The hands are closer to the body, and he stays right on it. His head did not pull out. He realized as a hanging slider, it's going away. It was staying up, and he just punched it through the vacated right side. There was nobody home there.
And if you're sitting at home and you're saying, well, it was a hanging slider, we saw him miss bad pitches last year.
Yeah. Not near enough contact. He worked very hard on it.
Again, the improvement showing for Engel, and Moncada takes a strike. So it's Skoll at third, Engel at first. Still in the second inning, Sox have banked a pair for Carson Fulmer. Throw coming down to second on Engel, and he is out. Alex Avila apprehends him, 2 away.
Pretty good throw by Alex. I thought actually he had a good shot of being in there at second base, but you certainly are not going to see any semblance of replays. That's a tough pitch to handle. And the call, Ron Culpa says you got him. Take a look at it again. Down and away. High throw. Bang, bang. I think he's safe, and I think maybe during the season he's in actually fairly easily. However, as they have always said since the beginning of time, it's spring training for the umpires also.
Don't we need to get the kinks out of instant replay in spring training, though, too? Shouldn't we just go to replay review every once and again?
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know, every 10th, 20th game, I think, yeah, maybe a 2-minute replay would be in order.
Just to check it out.
Sure, see if it's still working.
Works.
Yes. There's Alfonso Marquez, longtime Major League umpire, behind the plate. And these guys, too, now you see 4 at every game, and sometimes you'll see guys, minor league umpires. Now we're at the point where the umpires are Major League umpires, and they are bearing down because they're starting in the not-too-distant future either.
That's good focus practice before the season starts. Smoke to right field. Yoan Moncada brings in Skoll. It's an RBI single, and it's 3-0. That was a laser.
Strength is not Yoan's problem. He's got big strength from both sides of the plate. And I say he's leading off most likely this year. Obviously nothing is set yet, but there is no doubt he's going to be a middle of the order hitter. He's going to be able to do it, and the luxury is middle of the order power, top of the order speed. Nice combination.
You know, again, there's been so much discussion of Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert here in spring training, and some of the other guys that we haven't seen a whole lot of in Chicago. Moncada every now and then sits on the back burner slightly in terms of prospects just because he's been up in the majors, but he is going to evolve as a player too in front of us.
We talked to Ricky during last game. He said something that some people think about, some people don't. And, you know, he talked about the fact that everybody wants Yoan to be a star because at one point he was the #1 prospect in all of baseball, and he's strong and he can run. But let's not forget, he's 22 years old. And, you know, the Mike Trouts of the world, there's a, you know, once or twice with Bryce Harper a generation. He will be probably a star in this game, but at 22, you got to have some patience with every aspect of his game. Defensively, he strikes out more than you'd like. Obviously, leading this team in walks the second half of the year, he's got a pretty good idea about what to swing at and what not to. Folks, those of you who want to see him be a star, he will be, but you got to give him just a little bit of time.
2-1 to Garcia. And 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think there's some context with Ohtani from the Angels. Shohei Ohtani, who's really in his first time seeing major league pitching and major league batters, has really struggled.
There's no doubt he's struggled whether he's pitching or hitting. I mean, he's not hitting any curveballs. His curveball is terrific. He just can't locate everything. His ERA is in the 16 to 18s, whatever it is. Mike Scioscia said, look, we realize where he is right now. We also realize there's a lot of development to be done, and so we'll see what happens. Now, I think there's one thing that's going on in this at-bat that probably shows you some of the scouting reports and what they're going to do with Avi this year. And that is, Suarez has tried to pound him inside. He's trying to keep it belt up. And so by pounding him inside, he's pretty much showing what they think of Avi at this stage after hitting .330 last year. Avi's natural stroke has been in right center field. They're going to try to stop him from doing that. Avi's got to keep him out by not swinging at pitches inside, you know, that aren't strikes. And if he can do that, then he'll get the ball where he really wants it, middle out.
If we see him jamming himself early in the season or getting jammed, that would be not the positive sign you're looking for.
That's exactly right. And Hawk has always said, you show me a hitter who can't be jammed, I'll show you a bad hitter. Because, quite obviously, if he can't be jammed, well, that means that he's got no coverage middle out. And you got to have, you know, you got 17 inches. You got to cover it all. And obviously some guys do better than others. You concede something to various pitchers. You know, you concede one part of the plate. The better the pitcher, the more you have to concede. That's just the way the game has always been played. And, you know, Avi's still young enough to make even improvements off the .330 year, especially in the power numbers and the RBI numbers, the home runs and RBIs.
Suarez gets his first strikeout, but the Sox claim 3 runs. Engel a 2-run hit, Moncada an RBI single, and a big lead early on for the Sox thanks to these guys.
At the Lexus Command Performance.
Watch a White Sox game, then in premium seating. Enjoy first-class amenities in our all-inclusive club areas or private suites. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Old friends leading off here at Salt River. Alex Avila, there's his name over on the right side, facing Carson Fulmer. Who needs to keep a scorebook when we just have the scoreboard on the screen?
Alex had a nice year offensively last year. We saw he made a pretty good throw. He still remains and always will be having the distinction of getting hit more than any catcher I've ever seen. I mean, sometimes he would get hit 4 or 5 times in an inning. He's a ball magnet, which isn't particularly good for a catcher. He's had a number of concussions, but he's one of those guys, when healthy, he's got big power to left center field. Always has.
And if you're wondering if you were watching Cubs games, here's a shift that you'll see for Alex. If you're watching Cubs games over the past couple of years, Len Casper said Alex Avila as Alex's last name. And so we've had a little bit of a debate, friendly banter on Twitter, as friendly as I can get with Len.
He'll be very happy to hear that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure his phone's blowing up. He went through that swing. It's 0-2 on Alex. We were talking at the beginning of his White Sox tenure, Alex Avila, and he said, look, my friends when I was growing up used to call me Avila because it was easier for them. My dad does go by Avila, but all my close friends call me Avila, so that was an entree into calling him Avila to be his close friends here at the White Sox. But there's strike 3. Carson Fulmer blows him away, 1 down.
He only was able to throw that high fastball by him away because he established both the fastball and the slider inside. You establish inside, and that moving fastball up, thrown right by Avila. He's got a great eye. He actually swings begrudgingly. So when he took the first ball fastball inside and then the slider, he missed it. Now he's got to protect. Now you take one of Avila's strengths and make it his weakness, and he goes down on strikes.
Quickly, too. Rarely do you see him go down on 3 pitches, and that just happened. Carson Fulmer with strike number 1 to Yasmani Tomas. So 5 batters, 4 first pitch strikes for Fulmer.
Tomas was signed a few years back as a very highly touted Cuban player. Coming over, he could really swing the bat. At first, he had a bad spring. At first, he couldn't hit the ball to the right of second base. I mean, they might as well played everybody between first and second and in the outfield from the second base bag to the line. But he's shown he can take the off-speed pitches, the occasional hanging slider. He can pull that. He's got big power. But the defense has always been a mystery to him, and that, unless you're a DH, doesn't serve you all that well in the National League. But this guy can hit it.
He does get to DH today here in spring training as he fouls the 0-2 away. Carson Fulmer, former first-round pick out of Vanderbilt. First player in 15 to reach the majors. See Chris Sale up there in 2010.
The one thing that I truly like about the White Sox organization is that they consistently bring young players, especially young pitchers, to the major leagues much sooner than a lot of other organizations would. So the youngsters get a chance to really experience what Major League Baseball is all about. There are some organizations that want a specific amount of innings before you even get a sniff up here. Take a look at Chris Sale and how quickly Chris Sale got here. I mean, same year, you take a lifetime starter, and what do? You put him in the bullpen. How does he do? He does very well. And then you think about closing with him, and how does he do? Well, at times he did very well. And then you make him a starter, and he did, well, exceptionally well. And that's why we got from Boston what we got in the Chris Sale deal. That, and the most important thing that the White Sox have figured out a while ago that every team now really understands: long-term controllable contracts make a guy very, very desirable in a trade, and you're going to get a whole lot more back if that contract is long-term and controllable for X number of years, and the Sox have done that.
Carson Fulmer has looked quite good. That's 5 batters and 5 outs as he strikes out his 3rd.
He's doing exactly what Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria want him to do. He's locating his fastball, and when he does, the just natural movement takes over. Now, he wanted this one low and away, and quite obviously didn't get it there. However, the movement just throws it right by Tomas. So he's getting ahead early, and he is, for the most part, putting it where he wants to. But what's been impressive is throwing it inside to the left-handers.
A ball 1 to Chris Owings, who struck out more last year than he has in the last 3 seasons. Going to be a utility type guy for the Diamondbacks. Sox play today against the Diamondbacks, and then 2 more games on NBC Sports Chicago. Thanks for joining us today, and for that Texas game tomorrow, San Diego on Wednesday. So carve out some time while you're at work, bring your headphones, or just don't go to work.
Well, we actually have a wonderful ability to do just that, because I have never considered this work, and I know that you don't consider it work. We consider it a privilege to be able to call Major League sports, specifically for me, Major League Baseball. For you, you do them all. So, but it's, you know, it's not a job. It's not work at all.
Ball 4 to Owings. Descalso to bat. You all at home have gotten to see some of the panorama in this ballpark. When you sit overhead and take a look at this field here in Scottsdale, it does have sort of a Major League Baseball feel to it.
Certainly one more deck on top and you could make a case for this being a major league park. It would be a fairly easy conversion to do it. Unfortunately, it won't happen here, but for the Diamondbacks, who have talked about their ballpark downtown, and we'll see what happens going forward. But this is, I mean, just a beautiful park.
And it is surprisingly temperate here in Arizona. You got your long sleeves on today, my goodness.
Well, a high of 74 for this time of the spring is most unusual. We're having one of those weeks that, although it's beautiful weather, it's not quite as warm. It's going to get a bit warmer, but I ran into a White Sox fan last night who stopped me and he said, you know, it's great being down here, nice to see you. And I said, well, how long you staying? And he said, geez, we got to go home tomorrow. I said, well, the weather is going to start to be really beautiful. But he said, hey, we came out from Chicago. It was nice enough out here.
Yeah, there's no dream of snow, and that's really all that matters. Carson Fulmer, 6 straight out of the zone now after the back-to-back strikeouts to start the inning.
Toughest thing a pitcher has to do is move from the windup to the stretch for the first time. You start to lose command, and that's when a veteran pitcher can get it back, but a younger pitcher has some difficulty making the adjustment.
In the air left side, Nicky Delmonico gauges it well for out number 3. So Fulmer gets the out, and the inning comes to an end. Sox are up 3-0. Good news. The great news is we have Don Cooper down in the dugout. Hey, Coop.
How you doing, guys?
Tremendous.
Last time I was on, I think we scored a couple 3 runs.
I think so. Let's build on that, all right?
Well, look, you've always been an offensive pitching coach, so I don't doubt that we scored a lot of runs.
What do you have on Carson Fulmer so far today?
Really good. You know, listen, if I'm really getting picky, I'd like that last hit of the inning to swing the bat instead of walk down there, because Carson can pitch. He's a quality pitcher. He's got 4 major league pitches. He has his struggles down here. Down here doesn't matter. You know, he'd love to get all the results, but you don't. But he's had some problems getting out of innings. You know, he's been getting ahead of guys, and then maybe failing to put them away, or having 2 out, nobody on, and something happens. And so far, Carson has been really good.
Why do you think that?
Let me add this, along with Wellington Castillo,
yeah,
who is carrying the plans today.
Why do you think that is, that Carson sometimes struggles to put batters away?
Down here, because his curveball isn't quite as good as it's going to be wherever we land. My theory is this: curveballs and any pitch from like 72 to 82, curveball and or forkball, Down here, the weather, the air, for whatever reason, and I can go back and say Jose Contreras is, you know, he had a top-of-the-line forkball that wasn't great down here, but it always was when we landed. I've had curveball guys that have good curveballs. They weren't quite as good here. You know, don't get me wrong, the very top-of-the-line curveballs, the Mercedes-Benz curveballs, they'll be good down. They'll still be fine down here. But it is a more difficult pitch down here. The smaller breaker balls, the harder, sharper ones, you know, you're better off with those down here. The bigger ones are just a little bit harder to do.
Coop, I talk to hitters about this a lot. I'll ask you as it pertains to pitchers. What's most important, mechanics or approach for a pitcher?
Well, I tell you what, you can't throw strikes unless you got good mechanics. Now, assuming a guy's got good mechanics, throwing strikes. You know what I mean? Getting ahead, pouring it in. Look, you look at all of the best guys everywhere. You know, I've said this for a long time. I've seen a lot of guys for us who are very good, and people coming in and competing against us. Forget about velocity, forget about mechanics, forget about everything right now. What do? What's the top common denominator of those guys? They pour their stuff in the zone.
Joined by Don Cooper, Sox pitching coach. How's your bracket?
Destroyed by Virginia and Arizona. Destroyed.
Sorry,
I'll get
Bob.
back in the Sweet 16, though.
Who else are we going to see today?
You're going to see Hector Santiago. You'll see a pinch of Cedeno, a bit of Ross. And we've got some other kids down there backing us up, some young minor league kids. One being the son of our bullpen coach, Kurt Hassler. Andrew Hassler's down there today.
Drew's going to get in, don't you think? Maybe.
Listen, before we leave, one of our goals is to get Andrew Hassler in the game.
Coop,
yeah.
As we get closer to the start of the season, for your starting pitchers, ideally, forget the results, how many pitches do you want them to throw before they make their first start?
You'd love it to be 100. You'd love it to be 100. But nowadays, I think because of how people are being used and how we see our staff, they're all going to get around 95 to 105, somewhere in there. You know, you don't see many guys. First of all, there's like 10, 11, 200-inning pitchers in baseball right now because people are taking the starters out quicker. I'm looking for reasons to keep them in. I still think they have to carry the bulk of the load. But right now, we're going to have them up to 6 to 7 innings for sure.
What should we be watching for from Hector Santiago later on?
Hector Santiago, what Hector does to righties, he pounds right-handed hitters in with his fastball. But that's got to be an in-more pitch. If he doesn't hit the spot, he's got to miss in. The pitches that he's gotten burnt with, looking back at the video since he left us, was fastballs that he wanted to get in and didn't get in there. Also, you'll see a changeup for sure. Another thing we're talking to him about is throwing changeups to left-handed hitters. It's a great pitch to righties. Why wouldn't it be the lefty? So we're doing that. You might see a little bit of all of that.
Pitch is high to Delmonico. Abreu the walk. We're joined by Don Cooper downstairs.
Coop, talk a little bit about the configuration of the bullpen. I know you added some quality left-handed pitchers down there, and obviously you can't keep them all, but I'm not going to talk about specifics. I just want to know, how do you see it playing out as far as how you and Ricky are going to use that bullpen going forward to the season?
Well, okay, we'll start from the back end. We feel we got Nate Jones and, hold on a second.
We got time.
Yeah, we got.
To right field, Dyson is back at the wall. You did some play-by-play last time. You jump in whenever you want. You're pretty good.
Yeah, I might have to take over there because I was tempted right there. But Nate Jones and Soria certainly are, you know, interchangeable guys in the 8th and 9th inning. Nate didn't pitch all last year, but those are our options in the 8th and 9th. You know, we've got Gregory Infante and Minaya, who are going to, and Minaya, by the way, also saved, for what it's worth, 8 out of 9 games for us last year. So we have options there, and you know, so it's Minaya, Infante. You know, we're still talking about a lot of things. Farquhar's in there. We've got Hector. We've got Avilon. We've got Bummer. We've got Cedeno, who you'll see today, as well as Robbie Ross. Will get a piece, like I said a minute ago. So I mean, there's still some competition going on, but it looks like we're going to have a balanced, you know, lefty and righty. We're going to have enough interchangeable parts on both. We can go lefty-righty from the 5th inning on if we choose, because of the, you know, the lefties that you guys started the whole question off with. So, you know, we feel like we've got enough.
How much of a luxury is it to have the definitive guy like Hector Santiago, who, if there's a disaster early,
That's deep, guys. That's deep.
Real deep.
That's deep.
No, that's way
it
gone.
could be.
That's way gone, Coop.
You can put it on the board. Yes. I couldn't get too animated with that call. I'm on the top step.
Brilliant, Coop.
I told you, man, you got to do more of these interviews. We score some runs.
Matt Davidson, the 2-run homer, and the Sox take a 5-0 lead.
Watch, I'm going to be the first guy on the top step giving him a high five, guys.
Oh, we got a replay right now.
Nicely done. Good idea. Good idea, guys. Good idea. So simple yet brilliant.
Always take a walk before the home run. That's a great offensive plan.
That was a great idea that Davidson had there.
Okay, long man coming out of the bullpen, Hector Santiago, for early disasters. It's difficult to find those guys that will accept, especially lifetime starters, will accept a bullpen designation. How important is it?
Well, Robin used the term years ago to describe Hector that I liked. He's the Swiss Army knife. You know, he certainly behind 5 righties. Having that longer lefty behind him makes sense because more often than not, the lineup's going to be filled with lefties against those righties. So it makes better sense to have a longer lefty guy. But Hector, you know, he recovers good too. You know, Hector might get a shot a little more than that, you know, as time goes. He gets some punch outs. You know, Hector's, you know, the thing we're working on, we're trying to eliminate walks with him. He was a high walk guy. But he's a guy that's going to be utilized in a lot of different roles. But the one that you started off with about the long guy behind the righties, that's the kind of role we see him. Protect those guys.
Still throwing the screwball or what?
You know what? Listen, you know, even back when we had him, you know, he was throwing some screwballs, but not many. But everybody still thinks he's throwing screwballs. It's a good changeup. It's a quality changeup. His strength, again, is fastball into righties. We're trying to get him better down the way to righties and into lefties with that. But the second pitch for him is the changeup.
Do you think this is a big question? Okay, you ready for this?
I'll let you know if it's big.
Do you think you can pull off Robbie Ross's hair on your head? Does it work?
Could I pull it off?
Yeah.
I did when I was like 22.
Is that right? You had that look?
I had the Kentucky waterfall, the mullet, everything. Why do you think we have mullet night, guys? Mullet night's one of our biggest nights.
Do we have any shots of you at that point?
No,
We'll find them. We're going to find them, Coop.
Years ago, there was Polaroids. Now they got cameras and phones and the iPads and everything. But no.
Isn't it a shame that now that they have phones and cameras and everything like that, you and I are fresh out of hair?
You know, I might have been caught doing something I shouldn't be doing if they had phone
You would
cameras.
never do something you shouldn't be doing.
No, fortunately I did.
Well, next time we have you, we'll dive deeper into that. I look forward to it.
Well, you know, listen, let's plan this. Let's plan it. I mean, how many more broadcasts you got down here?
2 in a row next couple days.
Oh man, you guys
come to the booth or what?
You guys are overworked.
Oh, are you kidding? Like pack mules, Coop.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, 6 games this spring, and you know, quite frankly, I'm just exhausted. Jason still has a couple of games left in him, but
now, did I see the other day, Jason? Was there somebody else up there the other day? And not Jason? Was Jason?
That's right, yes.
Because Jason's going all over the place doing other broadcasts and doing things because he's
does
such high demand.
He does every sport. He does the Iditarod. In fact, I wanted to send him there, but you know they figured Boise and the regionals was a little better for him.
I'd like to see him do the Olympic event curling. That would be a challenge.
You know what, Coop? I'm going to tell you this, and you're going to laugh. I tried curling once. I fell very quickly. It was not
No,
good.
I'm not saying to try it. I'm saying to, you know, you be the broadcaster.
To be an Olympian.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad Steve mentioned the Iditarod because
you know what,
brain's
guys? Time out,
turning
guys.
to
Time out, guys. Time out, guys.
What are you leaving?
No. Are we gaining bonus time right here with a pitching change?
Yes, we
Or
are.
am I wrong?
Bonus Coop time.
Holy cow!
Hey, I want to know how much video do you actually watch?
A lot.
But like how much? Like how much
every
a
day? Every day. I go back and watch the game. Let me tell you, in Chicago, after the end of in Chicago, all right, I'll go home after the game, and son of a gun, I can't sleep right away. I need, you know, I can unwind, whatever you want to call it. And then it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and son of a gun, our game's broadcast on. I'm going to watch it. And I try like heck to stay up, but it's hard. But whatever I don't get that night, I'll get the next day. We go down and watch every single pitch that everybody throws.
You really do?
Every day.
Every pitch?
No, there are days that I don't have to go down there. But it seems like we spend an awful lot of time. Now, let me tell you, video is the best teaching or instructional thing, because you can tell somebody till you're blue in the face, hey, you know, we see you doing this, we see you doing whatever it may be. But when we can show them, hey, see on video, it's like opens eyes immediately. So it's a great teaching tool.
Coop, it used to be that you'd have either one or two coaches or maybe one player who were specialists at picking up when a pitcher was tipping his pitches. I would assume nowadays, as you described, you know, you're watching every pitch. If they tip at all, you guys have to know right away about it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not good at that.
Really?
No, I'm not good at it, because I'm watching so many other things that a pitcher's doing. And I'm also, like, with this guy right here, when he throws his first pitch, I'm going to be watching him. Then I'm looking at the catch to see him, where's he setting up, where's he going, is he going in or out, you know, and knowing the hitters that we're facing, you know. So, you know, I watch so many other things other than tipping, but we're lucky enough that a lot of other people on the club, and usually it seems to be the Latin players for whatever reason. Maybe I'm profiling here, but the Latin players seem to have an art at it. Like Robbie Alomar was tremendous at it.
Was he?
Yes. Yes. Dwight Evans told me once he couldn't hit the last 3 years of his career. The only reason why he hit or could survive was he knew what the pitchers were throwing, because he was very good at it. Sandy Alomar, very good at it. And, you know, with all the video, like we're mentioning, people can sit and dissect each one of our guys and know what might be able to give us an edge on what a pitcher is doing against us. But we're also looking at it from our end.
Hey, we've done some digging, Coop. We've done some digging into the files of baseball card history, and we got a picture of you on the screen from the Syracuse Chiefs.
Oh, Syracuse Chiefs. Okay, that was with that blue and white, the blue hat, the prison hat.
Yeah, you got a pillbox thing going on there. Yeah, and the little hair sticking out of the sides.
Yeah, that wasn't the mullet, though.
You look like a teenage heartthrob. You look like you should be in an 80s sitcom.
I think I was 23 years old there in that picture.
23 or so?
Yeah.
This is a great look. Coop, side by side. We're going to let you go and leave the folks with this. How beautiful. Thanks, Coop.
Thanks, Coop.
What a lovely man, Don Cooper. 5-0.
So far, we'll show you 3 strikeouts. A called strike on the inside corner, good high fastball away, and a running fastball down and in. Carson's putting together a pretty impressive performance, and for him and for Don Cooper and for Ricky Renteria, it couldn't come at a better time.
I'm just excited to learn the phrase Kentucky waterfall.
It was a great line. I loved the line.
I want the Don Cooper dictionary.
Well,
somebody's got to write that.
That was a pretty good one. I remember I had, and a lot of folks will not remember Oscar Gamble, but I was sporting an Oscar Gamble, you know, the perm.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where my hat sat in the middle and you couldn't see the hat because of all of the hair.
Like Nordberg from Naked Gun, right?
In the neighborhood, more like Oscar Gamble.
Well, he had the big hair that couldn't get through the door. That was the gag in Naked Gun. I don't know if you've seen movies.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
The last one I saw was Gone with the Wind. Have they done anything since?
Frankly, my Stoney. 2-0 from Fulmer. And down low, 3 balls and no strikes. We saw the strikeouts, then there was the walk, and then the back-to-back balls to Descalso. What's changed for Carson Fulmer that the strikes have been minimized the last couple of batters?
Sometimes it's just a bit of distraction, and sometimes it's focus. It's easier for a veteran. It's easy for a little bit older pitcher to keep his focus. Sometimes when you lose it, you can't drag it back, and right now that's exactly what Carson has been battling, and it started with the walk to Owings.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
There it is. That is, well, I had the stash going, and yeah, the hair, I remember that hair. In fact, I think that I left it. I think I left it on the north side after that season, as a matter of fact, never to return. So it was a good look. The first perm I got, it lasted 7 months. The last perm I got, it lasted 3 weeks. I got the feeling it wasn't good for my hair.
Isn't perm supposed to be short for permanent, and it only lasted 3 weeks?
It was a temp. It was a temporary. And it got shorter and shorter, and I decided, you know, somewhere along the line there's got to be a better look.
Yeah,
in fact,
many.
Anywhere down the line, there would be better luck. Oh, thanks, guys. Certainly appreciate the look back in the past at that one. I was trying to leave it to the imagination of the folks, but way to throw it up there, boys.
Great work by Jim Angio and Chris Kamka in the truck.
That's terrific.
And great work by your stylist, too, honestly, if we're being truthful. What compels you to say, you know what, give me that? It's ridiculous.
Well, because perms were in, and it didn't start out quite that large, but it kept on growing and growing and growing, and then...
you let somebody take a picture of you like that.
It was a baseball card.
Yes, it's still a picture.
What was I supposed to do? Put on a space helmet? It was my hair.
Do you have a space helmet?
Occasionally, yes. I have a helmet for all seasons.
2 balls and no strikes on Hazelbaker. Ahmed at first. Couple of walks, 3 strikeouts for Carson Fulmer so far today. And that one's a little bit low, so 3-0. Fulmer was all over the plate the first 5 batters, and since then, his only strike he's thrown the last 4 batters was the ball in play from Descalso.
We haven't seen a lot of Coop going to the mound in the spring. Maybe if he loses Hazelbaker, maybe we will see him. Trying to give just one tip that will turn around the game for Carson Fulmer to this point.
Just off the plate, ball 4, back-to-back walks to the 8-9 hitters.
D-backs leadoff hitter, right fielder, Gerard Dyson.
And here comes the meeting on the mound that you prophesied.
A good pitching coach, and Don Cooper is one of the best in the business. We say it all the time, and could very well be the best in the business, and he has been for a long time. You have to be part mechanic, you have to be part father confessor, and you have to be part psychologist. And you have to know which button to push when you go out to each individual pitcher. And Coop's got, especially in spring training, I mean, he's got buckets full of them, but you know, he's going to have 12 or 13 during the season. But every guy has a different key. And if you're pressing the wrong key, it's not going to work. Almost without exception, Don Cooper presses the right key.
Well, and everybody not only has a different key, but they have different keys for different situations, too. Each guy isn't just, okay, I need to tell him this every time.
When he left him with the thing, throw the ground ball. Get the ball over and throw the ground ball, and maybe we get you 2. Although with Dyson, it's not likely unless he really pounds one to the right side.
Gerard Dyson, tremendous speed. He struck out looking in the first, one of 3 strikeouts in the first 5 batters for Carson Fulmer.
Normally in this situation during the season, Dyson's probably laying it down ahead of Pollock and Goldschmidt and Avila, but not now. One thing Matt Davidson at third base does not want to do, he doesn't want to get too close because he might have to cover third on the attempted stolen base.
1-2 on Dyson. Think Ahmed might dream of going from second.
Too easy a throw with a left-hand hitter up and too early in the game in this situation with nobody out. I don't know. Torey Lovello, I'm not sure if he's going to say go get him or not. I'm pretty much thinking he's staying there.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And you're talking about the manager of the Diamondbacks, Torey Lovello. You may think it's Lovullo because of the way it's spelled, Lovullo. However, a couple of years into his tenure in the minor leagues, he just said, look, it's actually Lovello. People call me Lovullo all the time. When he was playing, we used to call him Torey Lovullo, but the name is actually pronounced Lovello.
Whether
still Stone, right?
Yeah. People still accuse me of making it a stage name, but
they do, really?
Yeah. Said, you know, nice name for whatever. Well, you know, that was before there was any stage at all. When I said, yeah, it's a nice name. Honestly, I remember in high school practicing my autograph to do whatever I could do to make it look good, only because I thought it might come in handy, not even dreaming that it would come in, you know, as handy as it is. But I figured I better work on it first.
You worked on your autograph?
I absolutely did.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't like my signature, and I figured, well, if I don't like it and it does ever become important, I should have one that I really like.
Why didn't you like it? It was your signature.
Yeah, but it just wasn't what I wanted it to be, so I changed it completely. And I change it routinely. Yeah, sometimes once every 3 weeks, depending on just exactly how many checks I have to sign. Who, me? Oh, no, I wouldn't sign that. Are you kidding?
Looking for someone else.
Yes,
sir. Put that gun away. 2-2 on Dyson. In the air, right center field. Adam Engel is over to make the catch. Ahmed on his way to third. They're at the corners with 1 down.
Now at bat for Arizona.
2018 Ballpark Pass is on sale now for a limited time only. You can get access to 36 home games in April, May, and September, excluding opening day in the Cubs series, for just $126. The pass will be available through your MLB Ballpark app. Get more information at whitesox.com/pass and download the MLB Ballpark app through the App Store today. Steve would download the app, but he doesn't know his iTunes password.
No, nor any other of the 22 passwords. How about a universal password? I know it's not the safest, but when you don't know how to use these things, one password that fits all would be wonderful for me. And make it short. Make it like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How about just like S, and you'll go with the last name. SS for me would be good. That would be terrific. And yeah, and that would be good. Then I could work the things that when I pop up and it says password, then I have to close it again and go away to something else.
In a world when we have all these encrypted passwords, you're actually telling people on television that your ideal password is the same letter twice.
Sure.
Seems worth it.
What are they going to take from me? My stuffed monkey? I mean, come on. It's just kind of, you know.
Your stuffed monkey is password protected.
I just want to be able to get to these places.
2-0 on Pollock. And now 3 balls and no strikes. We've gone a little deeper into the file cabinet, by the way, for Don Cooper pictures. This is a Topps card sent in by a huge baseball fan. You may have heard of him. His name's Keith Olbermann. This is a very rare Topps picture of Don Cooper, who looks like he was getting ready to film The Natural or something.
Looks to me like he's just about ready to go to the minor leagues, but you know. That was obviously Yankee Stadium, and that was obviously a very large glove that Coop was using. He had a huge contract with Mizuno at the time, so he put it on everything, as you can see.
Thanks, Keith, by the way, for sending that puppy in.
And there is the latter-day Don Cooper. Don Cooper has made a lot of young pitchers and older pitchers, and he's made a lot of them a whole lot of money in this game because of the knowledge that he imparts to them.
He's been the star of the in-game interviews this spring, by the way. Popped foul. 3 balls and 2 strikes on A.J. Pollock with Ahmed at third, Hazel Baker at first.
When Pollock is healthy and playing center field for the Diamondbacks are a considerably better team. If he gets nicked up and has to leave the lineup, it's very difficult to replace him both ways, with the glove and with the bat. He means that much to this team.
Three and 2 from Fulmer. Goldschmidt next. Called strike 3. Carson Fulmer freezes Pollock, 2 down.
I know that the Diamondbacks are in the National League, but in any league, that's too close to take a 3 and 2. Well caught by Wellington right here. Watch him bring it up. It's down, he brings it up. There's not a whole lot of guys that do that consistently and do it well. If he catches that ball with any downward movement at all with the glove, he doesn't sell the call. He sold it, they got it, turns out to be a big out.
It's the second one, so Goldschmidt has just 1 out to play with. Again, for Carson Fulmer, though Ricky Renteria downplayed it a little bit, this is an important start for him, trying to maneuver into that 5th spot guaranteed, going with the team to Charlotte and then to Kansas City.
Hasn't given up a hit yet. You look at the 3 walks and you say, well, okay, so is it a great performance? The great part about it is he's been around the plate with most every other thing, and the fact is they cannot square up the baseball to this point. Now, if he's not careful with Goldschmidt, it's going to be the first time today that someone squares it up, because he can hit it a long way and he hits it awfully hard.
Well, you said it, I think it was in the first inning, that it's not necessarily about outs and it's not necessarily about anything that you'd write in your score sheet. It's about barreling up the ball.
And they haven't been able to do it against him because everything he's throwing is moving. They're going to go trying to get middle out. Let's see if he gets it there.
Goldschmidt hits it in the air, but playable certainly. Adam Engel, shielding from the sun, makes the catch, and Fulmer wriggles out of the jam of 2 walks to open the inning, still with a shutout on his plate. hair, which we saw earlier, was more fluffy. It's so great to be with you. So excited for this season.
It's absolutely beautiful down here, and the guys right now are just getting the last touches of their work in. They want to make sure, and Ricky wants to make sure, they've had enough injuries this spring, no more before we go to Kansas City. But this is a team that got all their work in. Our facility out in Glendale is outstanding. So many fields that the guys can work at, and they work tirelessly in the spring, so it's kind of nice.
It's a split facility. Camelback Ranch is both the White Sox with their building and the Dodgers with their own building. And there was some question. People were sending in Twitter questions to me at Jason Benetti, at Steve Stone. I don't know if you got any of these. But the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago had a massive virus go through their clubhouse. 25, 30 guys were stricken with it, and luckily it did not hit the White Sox side.
I can feel for those folks that got that virus. It's been particularly nasty this year. Terrible, terrible down here as far as, one after another. But the White Sox had the foresight to put that force field right in between the two, so there will be no clubhouse leakage one way or the other. So of the two, the Dodgers are probably going to win this year, so they can get over that virus a bit sooner.
Early adversity, it always strengthens your team for later, right, as they say in sports?
They've got a good team, and when you think about curveballs in Arizona that don't work for a lot of people, Clayton Kershaw is not one of those people. His curve works in a refrigerator or a toaster oven. It still works, and it certainly works here. It works better in LA.
I think I'm obligated to say kids don't try that at home.
Is that the disclaimer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's important. That's not what the toaster oven's for, Johnny. 3 balls, 2 strikes, but Steve said it on TV. Fouled away by Skoll, who walked and scored in the second inning. Sox got 3 in the second thanks to a 2-run single from Adam Engel. Yohan Moncada, an RBI single, then Davidson's 2-run home run called by Don Cooper last inning.
Don can do it. Every time he comes on, we score at least 1, possibly more runs. This no exception. And I think Alex Avila already considers this a successful game for him despite the strikeout. So far, he has not been eviscerated by any foul balls. So for Alex, hello, Alex. Been a good game. He's a wonderful guy. They're absolutely going to love him. I mean, a great teammate. And when he was at Alabama, he was the only catcher they had that the coach thought enough of him to let him call his signs. He did not give him any signs from the bench. In college, that's a rarity. That's how good a game caller Alex Avila was and still is.
Very rare in college.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't see it. And again, you wouldn't have seen it in Alabama if it wasn't for the man you're looking at. But he's always been very smart, both on the field and off the field. But his knowledge of how to work over hitters and to get the best out of his pitcher has kept him in the major leagues this many years. And even though he loses a job someplace, someone always jumps up and has Alex, and they want him on their team.
Called strike 3, 1 away here in the 4th. And we will show you our Sox Math question for today. You can win by going to Twitter and using hashtag SoxMath with the answer. Here's your question. Number of days till the Sox opener in Kansas City, minus the number of games in that first road trip, multiplied by the number of games in a row the Sox play on NBC Sports Chicago starting today, and then add the number of hours between the central time zone and the time zone the Sox are currently playing in here in Scottsdale.
I usually disqualify myself. Am I eligible for this one?
You're always eligible, except for when you're taken.
Well, I saw the answer before. So you want me to give it now, or should I wait for the folks to? Okay, well then I will disqualify myself.
You remain no fun to play anything with. Alex Avila, by the way, was our very first player donor to the prize shelf for Sox Math. Gave us the Sox Math bat a couple of years ago as Engel pushes another one to the right side. Adams 2 for 2.
That was an excuse me swing that turned into gold. And it's amazing when you start to become a better hitter how much luckier you get. Take a look from the side. Little bit of a raised front foot, gives him some hang time, decides not to swing, but the ball follows his bat. Hits it in the perfect spot. Dumps it into right field.
What do you mean by that? The better of a hitter you are, the luckier you get.
Better hitter you are, the more contact you make. The more contact you make, most likely the harder you hit the ball. Consequently, you will get hits that other guys won't that don't make contact. And, you know, everybody said Tony Gwynn was really lucky, the Hall of Famer Tony Gwynn. Ichiro was really lucky because they put most everything in play, and then seemingly they always dumped it over the head of the infielders and in front of the outfielders. And, of course, he got lucky a whole lot. Both of them got lucky. Tony's in the Hall of Fame. Ichiro will be in 2 Hall of Fames. The better you are, the luckier you get. You can't get lucky on strikeout.
Engel running again, and he is safe this time. He was caught by Avila in the 2nd inning. Adams swipes second this time around.
Gets a great jump. In fact, he had 2 steps before the ball was delivered by Salas. You see the tag. Take a look at where the throw is. When you come in front of the bag like that, what usually happens is you have to go too long to the tag. Engel was in behind it.
Descalso at second. Throws out Moncada, who's 1 for 3. Engel to third. You're talking about Tony Gwynn getting lucky, and I never had the privilege of watching him in batting practice, but from what I've been told and watching Ichiro take batting practice, there ain't no luck in either of those guys. They can put a ball basically wherever they want to put it.
The most amazing part of Ichiro's coming to this country, in that first spring training, he couldn't pull the ball. I mean, left-hand hitter, everything was shot over either the dugout on the left side or to the shortstop or second baseman. And the story was that Lou Piniella, through an interpreter, asked him, "Can you pull the ball?" He came up the next time and hit a towering home run to right field. Through his interpreter, he said, "Yes, I can pull the ball." And then, as we know, he pulled it into a Hall of Fame career on both sides of the water.
And still going.
And still going, and probably will always be able to hit.
His preparation, not only in batting practice, Ichiro that is, his preparation, he travels with this like foot thing, right? Like a foot massager or something like that. I mean, he's got such a regimen for what he does. It's pretty impressive. Broken bat flares second base, and that will do it. So Engel stranded at third. Bottom of the 4th inning, Sox are up 5-0.
Sports Chicago. Watch our Sox battle the Texas Rangers. You can also stream the game live at NBCSportsChicago.com/watchlive.
We've got a friend here in the booth. Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, and Mike Farron of Diamondbacks Radio. You may know him from his Chicago days as well. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Jason. Hi, Steve. It's great to see you. Or should I say ham? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, ham, because Mike got us a cookie cake. Let me show you. It says, "Welcome, Steve and Hamon."
I think it's exceptional. In fact, that was usually your Wasn't that your stage name at one point, Haman?
Well, here's what I think. I think we should travel as Ham and Steve from now on. Oh, cute. Thank you. I had tweeted last night that I was hoping that you would hospitably leave us a cookie cake, just joking, obviously, and then you showed up with a cookie cake today, and we appreciate it very much.
Well, I take everything you say very seriously, Jason.
Oh, geez.
You're a serious
Oh,
man.
you're the one?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I figured.
a major issue. My goodness. So you've been around the Diamondbacks a couple years.
Yes.
We don't get to see you guys in the regular season this year. But what do you think this team ends up looking like after 90-plus wins last year?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good squad. I mean, I think it's easy to focus on J.D. Martinez not being here and say, well, they're going to lose that. And certainly you're going to lose the production from the last 2 months of the season that he had. I'm not sure that even the Red Sox are going to get that J.D. Martinez. I mean, 28 home runs in 2 months is an awful lot, right? So it's tough to replace that. But I do think if you're to compare this team to where it was a year ago, it is significantly deeper. And I think the moves that they made in adding Steven Souza Jr., Gerard Dyson in the outfield, now having a full season of Ketel Marte at the major league level, is really going to improve the team defensively. I think the bullpen's in a stronger position than it was a year ago when there were a lot of non-roster invitees fighting for jobs. I think it's a pretty good team. I think it's got a chance to compete for a playoff berth.
Tell us a little bit about Mike Hazen coming over from a very successful Red Sox organization, dealing with some of the wonderful baseball people. What has been his impact on the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Well, I think it's been pretty significant, and I think it's not just Mike, but it's the staff that he brought in with him. You know, Jared Porter and Ami El-Sadai both came over. Both of them have ties to Boston as well. They're the assistant general managers. Mike Fitzgerald, who runs their analytics department, came from Pittsburgh. Now adding Jason Parks from the Chicago Cubs, who's the pro scouting director. They've brought in a lot of guys with really good ideas to try and help create a holistic approach. And one of the things I really appreciated when I started here is on the business side, on the from the front office, the broadcasters, the way they treat people downtown at Chase Field, really kind of innovative. That's the kind of spirit that Derek Hall has brought in. And that spirit now really permeates the kind of innovation of the way that they go about decision-making, preparing players, scouting reports, all of that information that comes in. And I think a lot of it is because of Mike's experience in Boston and before that in Cleveland, that he was part of those kind of flat hierarchies with really innovative people, whether you want to discuss it from analytics or whatnot. I think that there's a lot of good feel for trying to create an organization that does everything very well.
I don't want to pigeonhole you, though, because you certainly do a lot of national work for Sirius XM. You're all over these spring training facilities. And I want to ask you from a national perspective what the feeling is around the country about the White Sox and how they've rebuilt the farm system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I can speak for anybody else, but I can speak
for everyone,
I'll
Mike.
speak
Dozens.
for everybody except for you. I think
where's that cookie?
The amount of impact potential that this group has is second maybe only to San Diego in terms of the talent that they've acquired. The Padres have a very good farm system with a lot of high-end guys. I think the guys that you're going to start to see as the year goes on this year have a chance to have a pretty phenomenal impact. Eloy Jimenez gets a lot of attention right from the Quintana deal. I think he's got a chance to be a middle-of-the-order force. Luis Robert, I had a scout tell me the other day, he said, when I come back, I want to come back with Luis Robert's body. That's what I wanted to look like when I come back. And he was one of the most buzz-worthy players early in spring training. For a guy who nobody in the States had really seen, that got everybody's attention. And I think when you add that to, Lucas Giolito already, it looks like he's going to establish himself as a fine major league starter. You add it in with Michael Kopech, who I think has got a chance to be very good. Whatever Carson Fulmer's role ends up being, I think he's going to have a positive impact. Even getting further down to Hansen and Cease. And then you've got Moncada and Abreu here too, Anderson. I think it's got a chance to be a really good team really soon. And because their young pitching can take a step forward quickly, I think they could be more competitive faster than people realize.
Paul Goldschmidt notoriously is a very quiet man.
Yes.
And so because he's the star of the team and has been for quite some time, is there a leader of this team that is a vocal leader as well as one who leads by example like Paul?
That's a great question, and I think there are, and I think that was one of the big changes that they made last winter. You were asking about some of Mike Hazen's impact. I think what they saw in 13 in Boston, they brought here a little bit last year. So in bringing in guys like Jeff Mathis, Daniel Descalso, last year Chris Iannetta was part of that group. Those guys were hugely impactful in kind of building that clubhouse culture. Paul Goldschmidt also has been a little bit more vocal in the last year than he had been in the past. And I think he wanted to take on more of a leadership role because I think he realizes that's important. He's not the biggest personality. Archie Bradley is. I mean, he could run for mayor of Phoenix right now, and I think he'd give the current mayor a run for his money. But I do think that, Paul is a real lead by example guy, but he's been willing to open his mouth more. And those veteran players that they brought in are good leaders. And I think that that's something, I wouldn't be surprised if the White Sox look to do something similar to that.
How about the humidor? Because it's the first year you guys are going to use it. My preference would be to just douse all the baseballs with water to make them soggy. How's it going to affect the baseball this year?
Well, I mean, short of throwing spitters, I think they're probably going to.
You mean splitters?
Yeah,
don't you?
right, splitters. I'm sorry. Yeah,
that was
that's a cut fastball used to mean something different when you played. Right?
Yeah, because then that's illegal, and nobody would ever do that as well as scuffing the baseball now.
I think the reason why they did it, number one reason why they're adding the humidor is because you can't store the baseballs the way they're supposed to be because the relative humidity here in Phoenix is 10 to 20%. I don't know if you've heard it's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. Yeah, that's new to all of us.
Nobody has ever said that about Phoenix before. So they're trying to create an environment where they can better evaluate their players on a more even playing field. And I do think it's going to help the pitchers with grip. I mean, you would certainly know better than I would, but that seems to have been what happened the most in Colorado.
So does clear pine tar. My friends tell me it really helps you with the grip. I never myself have ever tried that, nor would I ever because it is illegal. But my friends who skirt the rules, said that the grip was much better.
You travel in those packs?
No, political action committees, no, I'm not involved with any of them.
I'm a little bit concerned about the company that you've been keeping, Steve, if those are concerns.
I'm concerned as the company he's keeping.
You can't get away with that at Chase Field because if you're going to put sunscreen on your arm and then have rosin on it, nobody's going to believe you because it's a dome, right? We don't have the roof open when it's 120
well,
degrees.
Actually, let's talk afterward about some places you can put it.
I'd prefer not to.
Okay.
But I do think it is going to impact the offense to some degree. Alan Nathan, who's a physicist at the University of Illinois, has done a lot of research on it. He thinks it could have a bigger impact, especially on homers, than it did at Coors Field. We'll see how it ends up.
Mike, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thanks
Enjoy
for the cookie cake as well.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for the cookie cake.
Mike Barron, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the fifth.
Avalanche come to town. Coverage begins at 7 on NBC Sports Chicago with Blackhawks pregame live, or you can stream it live on the NBC Sports app.
Can you stream it live?
Personally, I would like to, but I don't know my password. I believe we dealt with that before, and if it was SS, I could absolutely stream it live. But then again, that's me. Neftali Feliz comes in the ball game. Remember him? He was a closer with the Texas Rangers. He's been around for a while, always had a great arm, always considered what they call a short armor. There's very little extension, but in his earlier days, he threw very hard. There you look at the numbers. This is his 7th game, having a great spring. Again, another candidate for what for the Diamondbacks has been a revamped and much improved bullpen, and largely Archie Bradley's the guy. You might not know him that much as an American League fan. Think Andrew Miller from the right side. That's Archie Bradley. You can use him anywhere.
Other guys in that bullpen this year include Brad Boxberger, Jorge De La Rosa, a possibility as well in the bullpen. Sox got to see the starter Patrick Corbin last time the Diamondbacks were at Camelback Ranch, and Eloy Jimenez made life very difficult on Mr. Corbin.
He's going to make life difficult on a whole lot of pitchers, and Brad Boxberger, you might remember him from the Tampa Bay Rays. He will be the closer, and Archie Bradley will come in the most key of situations for Torey Lovullo.
Third time on base for Jose Abreu. 2 walks in this hit. And he's going to dig for 2. Abreu on his way, and he is there. Jose in spring training legs out a double.
That was one of the great adjustments and the great improvements that Jose made as recently as last year. Now when he hits the ball, if he thinks it's a single, he believes it's going to be a double. We saw last year, if he hits a double, he believes it's going to be a triple. And Jose he's letting it all go. He's running much better than I believe he ever has, certainly in a White Sox uniform, but now he's just much more aggressive with everything.
Yeah, not even just faster, smarter, and more likely to hit the gas pedal. That's why he had that career high in triples last year.
Yeah, I mean, it just, he improved, and I think that he decided that if you're going to err on the side of aggressiveness. If they throw you out, they throw you out. He's always looking for the next base.
Here's one from Chris Kampka. Jose Abreu had 1 more triple than the Toronto Blue Jays last year. And if you had either Blue Jays or Abreu in the triple pool, and you took Abreu, that's pretty good odds.
They also played at home on the artificial surface. You got to figure a lot of them skipped by, but apparently Jose ran by them.
On the ground and through, base hit for Nicky, and here comes Jose on the way in to make it 6-0 Sox here in the 5th.
Nicky with his first hit of the day, driving in his first run of the day. But a big thing for him, I believe, happened in the first inning, and that was the fact that he laid down a bunt. Now, cleanup hitters, as a rule, don't lay down bunts, especially in the first inning. But he saw the positioning. He laid down a bunt. With all of the scouts in the stands, all of the people watching from other teams that we're going to play, they now, in the scouting report, have to say he will bunt, which means early in the count, the third baseman has to play him in. And it sets up a world of possibilities. So with everybody watching what each player is going to do, the scouting reports come very important. And because he did lay down the bunt, everybody in the league has to respect it. He did it. He didn't bunt it right, and you don't want to bunt it right back to the pitcher, but just the fact that he did it was important.
Yeah, it's almost irrelevant where the bunt went.
Doesn't matter, just show it, and then all of a sudden the scouting reports are respect the bunt from this guy.
With the idea being that you can steal some hits in the regular season with just one action in spring training, which almost seems like you'd want to tell your scouts, hey, I know you want to tell us that he bunted, but if he does it just once, you might instruct him not to put it in the report.
Well, we'll see it again. I mean, we will see it from him a few times. Let's take a look at the home run. This coming in the 3rd inning. Off the bat of Matt Davidson, who has big power. Suarez tried to get it in on his hands. If you don't get it in on his hands, he can put a charge into it, as he does so often. A 2-run homer in a 2-run 3rd.
Davidson over shortstop, and Matt's 3 for 3.
It doesn't matter where you're playing a specific organization, but if you have played for them, you take particular delight in tormenting them when you're playing against them.
So you're saying that when you weren't playing for the Sox, you liked beating the Sox?
No, it's my first team was the Giants. They brought me to the major leagues, and I believed that I would be there for, for a long period of time. And I believed that, and then they decided after being there 2 years that they were going to make it a very short period of time, but they did something that I was eternally grateful for. They traded me to the Chicago White Sox. It introduced me to a city that I love, to an organization that I've been with for quite some time, and it was the first organization in Chicago that I played for. And I didn't know it at the time, but coming to Chicago was one of the great things that happened to me in my career, and I thank the Giants for sending me, along with Kenny Henderson, for Tom Bradley, who went to Candlestick Park and discovered what I discovered. If your name wasn't Gaylord Perry or Juan Marichal, it was really tough to pitch there.
You may be irascible at times, but you do have a soft spot in your heart for Chicago that I think is very neat.
I've always loved the city. It's why I've been there, and it didn't matter even when I really wasn't working, and that happened a bit between 2004, 2008. I still made my home in Chicago because there's nothing better. It's a wonderful city. It's a city that affords you any opportunity you want to have any type of entertainment. The restaurants I'm particularly fond of.
Specific ones.
And you and I walk to them almost every lunch when we have the opportunity. It's just, all in all, it's just a great city.
There is a spot open on the Chamber of Commerce if you'd like to join up.
Maybe after this game.
It's ball 2.
Might not be voluntary.
2-1 to Wellington Castillo, who's 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored and a strikeout. Veteran presence behind the plate, who has been an above average hitting catcher, especially last year with the numbers he put up for Baltimore. 2-2.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention this stat, because it's something that I don't think we're going to see. I'd be surprised if we saw it this year. It was the Diamondbacks last year. They got 25 starts from 5 different guys. I mean, I think, and Don Cooper talked about the 200-inning pitcher. Maybe there's 11, there's 12 of them, but getting 25 starts from 5 different guys is something that's awfully difficult in the culture of baseball today.
2-2 is a ball. 3-2, and the Diamondbacks certainly have some rotation issues, and Zach Greinke likely will be ready, but his groin injury takes him most probably out of opening day possibility for Arizona, and then Shelby Miller's still on the shelf for at least a month or 2 of the 2018 season.
You would like to be able to really evaluate your trades and then make them based on the ability of the individual players and contracts.
Castillo the base hit, and Delmonico around third. The Sox have another. It's 7-0 in the 5th.
But Shelby Miller, since coming over, has had a huge amount of injuries, and the Diamondbacks they're hoping that he gets healthy and stays healthy. The price was very big. Just a couple of the prominents in that one is Enciarte, who's been all everything, especially on the defensive side, and Dansby Swanson, who was the #1 pick for these Diamondbacks. The cost was high, and unfortunately for Shelby, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Dansby Swanson, former Vanderbilt teammate of Carson Fulmer, along with Walker Buehler, who's one of the top prospects in the game right now.
He is the man that I believe the Dodgers are not going to move anytime soon, because anybody who wanted to make a trade with the Dodgers, very high on the list, and they've got a lot of prospects over there. They're pretty happy with their prospects. And one of the things Mike didn't say was Atlanta prospects in the group he was talking about. Atlanta prospects pretty good.
Yeah, most people have Atlanta, San Diego, Sox somewhere 1, 2, 3.
Right, and the Dodgers aren't trading Buehler anytime soon unless somebody wants to give them, say Mike Trout in a package with Buehler and a few other guys. So that's not going to happen on either side of the equation.
Sox have been lethal offensively this afternoon. 7-0. Tim Anderson takes a strike. Kind of get the feeling this might be a breakout season for Tim Anderson.
I think he started to learn the lessons that major leagues teach all young players. You saw it in the bunt that he came up with today. I mean, a couple of years ago, probably couldn't have done that.
Chopper's going to be tough. Owings at third, across his body. Anderson safe. Bases loaded for the Sox. Still nobody out in the 5th.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be just a great year for Tim Anderson. Because you talked about exit velocity earlier. He's got it.
Not here, but.
And you can't teach it. Well, look at the height of that chopper.
That's true.
I mean, when you talk about exit velocity on a chopper, that one is right up there.
The ground ball launch angle, always worthwhile.
That is Taylor Grover.
Jackson
or,
Elmo was unavailable.
As we know him, old number 92.
Can you tell me how to get deeper into the Arizona bullpen? Grover's coming in. It's 7-0 Sox in the 5th. The opener, minus 6 games on the first road trip, Kansas City to Toronto. So that's 4 times 3 games in a row on NBC Sports Chicago, 12, plus 2 hours between the Central Time Zone and then this time zone, which does not change when the clocks change. So 14 is your answer, and here is the new pitcher, formerly of the Red Sox organization.
Let's take a look at the numbers. Taylor Grover in the minor leagues last year, 3.5 the ERA, a little higher than he would like, but 82 strikeouts in 75 innings. Shows he's got some pretty good stuff. And he'd like to keep the walks down, but more strikeouts than innings pitched always shows the stuff is there.
He's out of the University of South Carolina at Aiken. Went to high school in South Carolina, born and raised in the Palmetto State. Skoll a walk and a strikeout in the 2nd and the 4th. Hazelbaker in left gives it a run and has no play.
The wind has started to kick up a little bit because when the game started, the wind was negligible. Now it is blowing out as if the hitters need more advantages in Arizona. High sky, rock hard infield. The ball flies like crazy because of the dryness and actually the altitude here, and now it's blowing out.
You don't sound bitter at all.
Where's that humidor?
What a fun game for the kids to play. 2-1. Skoll drives it to center field. This ball is coming back in. Matt Skoll drills it. And now the Sox are all caught up on the bases. This is not a home run, and it's an out. Got that green wall beyond the center field fence, and at least one Sox runner thought maybe it had left the ballpark. Instead, it is in play. The Sox get a run. It's 8-0 and one down.
Well, Skoll just tattooed that ball. The problem was he had an opportunity to get back to first base, but he still believed in his heart of hearts that at the very least it might have been the automatic double. I mean, this is a rocket. But unfortunately, it goes for naught. Well played in center field. Gotten back in, and then they get an out and a couple of men in scoring position.
When Matt Skoll took the hard turn at first, Tim Anderson was at second base. And everybody just kind of looked around and said, oh boy. Here's strike 2 on Engel. Adam 2 for 2 with a 2-run single in the second.
Adam Engel hitting .300 this spring. Not to mention the fact that he's hit 4 of them out of the ballpark.
By the way, Sox bullpen was working Xavier Cedeno. Carson Fulmer 71 pitches deep into this start, and you think he's looked pretty good, huh?
I think he's looked very good. I mean, you go for the 3 walks, okay, not great, but no hits. And at 71 pitches, you wonder exactly what Don Cooper really wants from him. He talked about ideally he'd like to get guys 100 pitches, but Carson does have another start. So if they feel he's accomplished what he's supposed to, he'll take a positive attitude out of this performance today. As Engel, he's aboard as he gets hit.
On 2 strikes, Grover grazes Engel.
A breaking ball that just drifts, and something that you probably don't see very often, 7 straight hitters reaching base.
And an out baked in. Here's Yohan Moncada. 8-0 Sox. This is after the Sox lost 14-0 yesterday. Don't attach your emotions to spring training baseball in terms of the score. You'll be in for a wild ride.
People always talk to me about this guy is struggling this spring, this team is struggling this spring, and you know, this pitcher is struggling this spring. And to each and every one of them, I said, what did he do last spring? What did the team do last spring? And to a man or woman, they don't know. They always say, I don't know. And I said, that's because it's absolutely irrelevant, does not matter. Guys that come through spring training entirely healthy are very successfully ecstatic about what's happened because they can start the season and get all the at-bats and all the swings.
That said, when you're watching a spring training game, specific traits. Like yesterday, Michael Kopech said he was working on his changeup. It wasn't great in that game, and he came in as a piggyback type of starter behind James Shields. You can look for specifics, but general results don't necessarily command much attention.
That's what Coop will do. He'll sit down, look at the video with the pitcher, and throw out the end result, because the end result doesn't matter.
Line drive past shortstop. Yoan Moncada smokes one to left, and the Sox get a couple more here in the 5th inning.
That's 3 driven in by Yoan at the top of the order. And it would appear with the configuration of this lineup, as Jason pointed out early, for a man who has never hit in the leadoff spot in the major leagues, he looks pretty comfortable. Best part about that, he waited back on an off-speed pitch and punched it through the left side. They play Moncada almost exclusively as a pull hitter, especially as a left-hand hitter. Him going the opposite way shows a lot of progress in a hitter who's going to be a great hitter. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
You don't typically say that if you don't mean it. You're not that type of guy who's going to inflate for the sake of that.
No, I'm not Captain Hyperbole, but I will tell you a couple of the guys that
you don't want to be on his ship, by the way.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But a couple of guys, and notably Eloy Jimenez, I mean, he's just going to be a star. I think Moncada falls in the same situation, but we haven't even seen on a daily basis some of the great talent, even below the guys that are acclaimed for the White Sox. This organization, top to bottom, is absolutely loaded with, number 1, fairly large pitchers. Number 2, guys with huge power. They look to me like a basketball team when I saw them in spring training. I mean, the pitching staffs, there's 6'4" and 6'5" is okay, but 6'7" and 6'8" seems to be a bit better. And we've got a lot of those guys here.
That's why I think it was important to have Mike Farron here in the booth an inning ago, because he's not in Sox spring training. He's not watching from a Sox perspective like we are and the fans are at home. And he's got the same feeling about what's brewing here in Chicago in terms of the viable, large-scale talent in this organization. Upstairs, 2-2.
And for those of you who have heard the phrase the Mendoza line, it was after Mario Mendoza, who the Mendoza line was 200. So if you hit below the Mendoza line, you hit below 200. And this organization, as a rule, Mario Mendoza was a major league player, so he was one of the best players in the world. But major league wise, quite obviously there were a few players around a bit better. So when you look at the talent up and down this organization and the skill set that they have, and is going to get better, but the talent, just sheer talent that they have, they don't have the Mario Mendozas waiting for them to come up. There are guys who will be stars waiting for them to come up.
3-2 to Avi is outside ball 4. The Sox have batted around here in the 5th.
9 straight White Sox hitters have reached base. Something you see in spring training occasionally, during the season very rarely. And a trip to the mound, and let's see how this develops.
The sheer drama of a spring training mound visit is not to be beat. By the way, just received a cable. It says when Fulmer is done throwing pen, he will come on. So either Carson Fulmer is in the bullpen, or he's just tossing writing utensils across Salt River Fields here.
I think what probably happens is maybe in the course of the game, he's not getting the amount of pitches they want from him, but they would not like him to start the inning and then come out. They'd like to go to the bullpen when the inning starts, and normally when that happens, a starting pitcher will go to the bullpen. If they want him to throw 100 pitches or 90 pitches, he's thrown 71. He's going to throw in earnest those other 19 pitches to get to the point where he gets the workload without facing the major league hitters, and consequently the next guy you bring in after him, he gets a clean inning, which is what you're looking for from some of the pensmen.
How well does that simulate game action?
It's better than nothing, because you just want the arm strength to build up. And you want elbow strength for your breaking balls, you want shoulder rotation for your fastball, and you've got to get to the point that when you start the major league season, your arm is as strong as it's going to be, because it's a game of attrition, and it works that way with pitchers' arms. They get them as strong as possible, and then as the season moves along, you lose a little bit here and there. And you see some great pitchers wind up in the postseason, and they don't do what they do during the season. Greg Maddux was essentially a 500 pitcher in the postseason.
This one gets away, and the Sox get back on the board. Adam Engel rushes home. It's 11-0. You were saying on Maddux?
And Greg Maddux, it wasn't that he couldn't pitch in big games, because he did that his whole life. And as far as competitiveness, you would take him over just about anybody, but you just run out of gas. You get more tired as the year goes along, and so that's why you want your arm as strong as possible in the spring, and then hopefully build to a crescendo. But you've always heard of the dead arm period. It happens in spring training. It also happens during the baseball season. Your arm has a chance to rejuvenate and then get stronger again, but at the end of a long season with 32, 33 starts, 200-plus innings, guys just start to wear down. And really great pitchers don't have postseason careers as they should, because some of them are just not quite as physically strong top to bottom as some of the others.
Can you feel it late in the season?
You absolutely can, but you compensate. If you throw sometimes one time between starts and then maybe a tossing day, you eliminate the tossing day and throw only one time. That's on a 5-man. I like to throw 2 days in between starts on a 5-man. I preferred actually a 4-man rotation because I was a touch and feel pitcher. After I lost my fastball early, I became touch and feel. And I liked 4 days because I could command my breaking ball much better. Not only have they moved to 5, which I think the Mets were one of the few teams that really used it well very early, but now teams are talking about 6. For the touch and feel guys, in a 6-man rotation, it'll be really tough for them to control their curveball especially, and sometimes a slider. Maybe it'll work. Some teams are going to give it a try. Personally, I don't like it, but if it works, it's a wonderful decision. If it doesn't, it's not such a good decision.
Third base side. This gets a run home, and Abreu is safe at first. $12-0 in the 5th. That's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to reach for the Sox in the inning.
Goes E5, no doubt.
Give him an RBI too, you would imagine, with
yes.
Moncada coming home.
Absolutely.
How'd you like to see contracts laden with spring training incentives?
I'd like to see the mercy rule before that. Thank you very much.
You drive in 15 in spring training and we'll give you blank.
Well, as you know what they do these days, they give you a hearty handshake and a hi-ho silver and tell you get ready for the season because nothing you did matters. If you're healthy, we'll run you out there.
They don't give you a laurel as well, do they?
No, a laurel, no.
Just the hearty handshake?
Just the hearty handshake, yes.
Diamondbacks finally pluck a couple of outs on this ball from Delmonico, and that will do it. But it's a dozen for the Sox. Ticket plans offer the best locations, highest savings, and most benefits. Best seats are going fast, so lock into your plan today. Do it right now, 312-674-1000, or visit whitesox.com. Either way, we look forward to seeing you at Guaranteed Rate Field and a new pitcher for the Sox.
Xavier Cedeno comes in. He's been a busy man. This is his 9th appearance. He is battling a whole lot of lefties in the bullpen. It's usually not the case, especially with the Sox. They're not loaded with lefties most of the time, but they are this spring. And so the competition is fierce. Cedeno is trying to show that he can stay here. So again, at this point, for the guys that might be on the bubble, a big outing for him. And just a wonderful outing for Fulmer at 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, no runs, no hits. He's going to take a lot of positives out of this. And it was an outing that he needed, and he got it.
Got some defensive changes to document for you for the White Sox. Here in inning number 5, Jacob May has checked into the game in right field. Tyler Saladino's in at third. Matt Davidson to first base. You know why that's important, Steve?
I do indeed.
You do?
But I have to recuse myself.
You do? It's Sally Day in the clubhouse. It's Tyler Saladino's day on social media, which means that part of the Sox, if you haven't heard, part of the Sox in spring training and what they're doing is trying to grow their social media for their teammates and their followings. And so every day one player gets featured. So today is Tyler Saladino's day. It is Sally Day in the clubhouse. And here's a look at Sally Day on social media. Here's a GIF or a GIF, whichever one you'd like to call it. And some of the great plays, mustachioed or not, for Tyler. It's a nice little competition they're doing, and the winner has to buy everybody else dinner. Whoever gets the most followers out of the deal.
Tyler, one of the nicest guys around and a very popular teammate, so it's nice to see him back in, and we're going to be talking with Nicky Delmonico.
I've heard that. Hey, Nicky, how you doing?
Steve, Jason, how we doing?
Good. Everything's great. I know things are great with you. Tell us a little bit about the bunt in the first inning.
Something I've been wanting to work on. Last year I did it a few times, and you know, to take away the shift, you gotta lay one down and you know, get them from taking base hits away from me from the right side.
What do you think of Sally Day?
Oh, awesome. I mean, you see some mustaches on Sally Day. It's gone, but Matty has something where if he gets 10,000 followers on Instagram, he's gonna grow it back.
Matt Davidson is.
Matt Davidson. No. Sally is. Matty has a thing going. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How about that? How was Nicky D Day a couple weeks ago?
It was good. You know, it's a fun thing we got going on right now. But right now, Matty D's in the lead.
He is.
Yep.
You got to change that. Somebody's got to get Sally up.
Well, that's what we're working on. We're trying.
Nicky, last year you come to spring training. This year you come to spring training with a lot of success behind you. What's the difference in feeling between last year and this?
Well, last year I was just trying to get my feet wet with everybody, trying to get used to, you know, the team. And coming into this year, it was just nice being able to come back with the same guys and same chemistry we left off at the last season.
Who's the funniest guy in the clubhouse?
Oh, easy. Yomer is.
Where are you on the list?
I think I'm right up. I'm right there.
Really? I love your modesty.
Yeah.
I heard it's you, and I heard it's Yomer, and I heard it's James Shields. Is there?
Hoygo.
There
Hoygo's up there.
Okay, I figured. Yeah, we heard that the three of you guys kind of lead the. Let's keep the tension out of the clubhouse brigade.
Yeah, and Tim's doing an unbelievable job with that too. He's been awesome in the clubhouse. He's right up there too.
All right, who's not funny?
Who's not funny? Who's not funny is Debo.
Is that right?
Debo's not funny at all. He's at the bottom of the list.
Oh, come on.
It doesn't have to do with anything with him standing right next to me either.
Oh, no, certainly not. Love it.
Yeah.
What have you gotten out of this spring training? What do you feel like you're a little bit better at?
Playing left field, especially with the sun, and it's, you know, battling every day and just working on, you know, being a better left fielder.
How brutal is the sun?
Oh, it gets bad at times. It's right on.
Well, we're going to the sunflower seeds again, and Melky is not here, so.
Who's doing it?
Take a wild guess.
Yalmer?
No.
Debo?
Nope. First baseman.
Is it Abreu?
Yes. Yeah, it's Pito.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's kind of in the shadows there. We can't even see him.
They're just coming out of nowhere, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about it, buddy. What do you think of this team in the clubhouse right now overall?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, coming to the field every day with these guys, it's a lot of fun. Especially playing 9 innings, going through, grinding. It's awesome.
Nikki, when you have a guy in center field that can get them alley to alley, does that affect where you're going to set up against just about each and every hitter, knowing that Engel can just go get them and you don't have to worry about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he covers everything. I tell him if you can get it, you take it. But no, it's all, he can cover a lot of ground, and he's definitely helped me become a better outfielder.
What are you looking for in terms of how you can get better this season from last year, other than playing left field?
Just you know, narrowing down my approach.
Did you get one down your shirt?
Yeah, there's a couple down my shirt right now.
How about a hard hat? Can we get you a hard hat?
I know I need one. No, but just becoming a better hitter. You know, I'm learning a lot from Abreu and Avisel, and just talking approaches and trying to get mine down before the season starts.
How much video do you personally use?
A lot. I normally watch more on the opposing on the opposing pitcher, but I like to see where I am, like set up in the box, and you know what they're trying to do to me.
Did you say you're learning a lot from Abreu or wearing a lot?
I'm wearing it right
now.
Yeah, but no, I'm learning a lot from him and obviously they're helping me out a lot.
When you look at the opposing pitcher and what he does and his tendencies, how will that directly affect you, because you might not have actually faced this guy from 60 feet 6 inches?
Well, it helps a lot, and too, I like to look at the catcher. You know, a lot of times if a pitcher doesn't shake, he's going off the catcher, and you know, I faced a couple of the same guys last year with 2 different catchers behind the plate, and they threw a different game. So I think when I go in to watch film, it's key for me to see who's catching that day, and if they go hard in, soft away, and what they do and what their game plan is.
How much did you look at that before last season?
Not much. At the end of the season, I started picking it up a lot and kind of see what they were trying to do to me.
Maturity in the game of baseball, which is more important? Emotional maturity or physical maturity?
I think emotional. You play every single day, and you're not going to come out here and go 4 for 4. So you got to find ways to simplify things. And for me, what I do is I try to go and I could have been 0 for that day, but I try to do is quality at bats and take away the 0 for. So if I lined out 4 times, I was 4 for 4, and that way you can go home and sleep at night.
What do you do to unwind in Arizona?
Well, I live here. I have a few spots. My favorite place is Yard House. I pretty much know the whole menu there, and I try to get a bunch of guys as much as I can to go over there after the games.
Do you play ping pong there?
No, I play ping pong in my garage.
Ooh. You play ping pong in your garage. How
Yeah.
big's your garage, Nikki?
I mean, it's like a 1-car garage, but I don't park my car in there. It's just a ping pong table room.
Well, Jason and I have actually played at the Yard House, and usually if we get a chance to go to eat down there, we go to the one on 7th Street and actually play ping pong after we go eat.
Well, Jason wouldn't play me in ping pong because he was scared, I think.
Jason played you in virtual reality home run derby.
Yeah.
You brought it up, by the way. Okay. If anybody's met me, I don't look like a hitter, but you brought this up,
you knew
dude.
the
Why
system.
are you doing this?
You knew the system.
I never played that before
yeah,
in my life.
you baited me. You baited me.
We played
something I've never done before. You got me.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, Nikki. I can't remember seeing you play ping pong, but I know. Jason. He's not really an athlete. If you give him 17 points. I'll tell you what, we'll have a friendly wager for dinner.
I'm in on that. To Yard House.
I had never played that game before either.
No, but
by the way.
But you played ping pong.
Nikki, tell him how you didn't connect 4 against me.
Oh gosh, you're bringing it up.
Always fun, dude. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it, Steve, Jason.
Bye.
Thank you.
baseball player through the Jackie Robinson video contest for a chance to win White Sox prizes. Submissions have to be entered by the 23rd and will be reviewed by 6-time All-Star and recent birthday boy Harold Baines. Visit whitesox.com/JRvideo for more information and to submit your video today. That's whitesox.com/JRvideo.
One of my good friends, Mark Brock, just texted me a picture of Don Cooper with plenty of hair from his Toledo Mud Hen days. It's a wonderful picture.
Is Klinger there?
Well, you can take a look, see if he's in the background. But
the only thing clingy is Coop's hair there.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
It's a nice look. We've gotten Don Cooper pictures from every point of the globe.
Coop till the cows come home, I believe, is the underlying issue here. Very nice. Says Chris Medlin comes in the ball game. There you see the numbers on for the 7th time. The ERA, mid-5s.
Was nice of our buddy Keith Olbermann to tune in earlier and send in a picture of Coop, the baseball historian that he is. Keith, by the way, said he sent a note that said that he wrote the bio on the back of one of your baseball cards.
He did?
Yes. He was a biography writer for a baseball card company and wrote yours.
Well, if he wrote it early in my career, it was about a sentence and a half.
Steve has big hair, is all it said.
Later in my career, it got a little bit more intricate, but early, not so much.
Made like $100, he said, doing it. Maybe not for just yours, for the whole set. yours was a discounted rate. Here's Wellington Castillo. Thanks for joining us wherever you may be watching. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew. Michelle Godwin, Bill Brophy up here in the booth, laughing at our jokes simply because we paid them to.
You all have to have a good audience. It makes a good broadcast with a good audience.
We need one of those like Cheers at the beginning of the show. They'd say, filmed in front of a live studio audience. We need one of those.
Not bad, yes.
Wellington Castillo to third. And there's out number 2. So the Diamondbacks have made some significant changes. Christian Walker is in at first base. Daniel Robertson is in right field. Alberto Rosario is the catcher for Alex Avila. And Ray Fuentes is the new center fielder. As Keith's partner used to say, if you're scoring at home or even if you're alone. Base hit for Anderson with 2 out. So here's Matt Skoll, 2 out, 1 on.
You could hardly hit the ball any harder than Matt hit it last time. And normally when you hit it over the sign that says 410 in center field, it normally is a home run. But not here exactly.
And it led to base running shenanigans.
Yes, well,
thereafter.
Usually, I mean, you just anticipate when it goes over what looks like the fence. Here, see the top of the wall, but the padding up against a wall and the ball is in play. When that happened, they lost an out.
It's one of those scenarios that in Major League Baseball, when you're in a park that you're used to, you're going to know those ground rules.
Yep.
And when you're in spring training, you only play here once or twice. They may not necessarily be as fluid in your head. And there you go. So the StatCast folks and Baseball Savant says 433 feet on the ball hit by Matt Skoll.
That's going to go out of just about, at that distance, goes out of every park, just about every park in the major leagues. And Matt Davidson's home run at 473 that goes out of Yosemite and every other park. And we've got Chris Medlin, who started his career with Atlanta, got to the major leagues with the Braves, very highly thought of. In fact, was 15-12 in 2013. Then he spent some time in Kansas City where he's had some significant arm issues, and that's really been the thing that stopped him. So lots of elbow surgeries. In fact, it's really surprising after as many as he's had that he's still around and still battling for a spot on the ball club. A lot of experience. 41-25 lifetime in the major leagues. When you're that far over 500, you can get it done, but unfortunately, sometimes your body does not want to cooperate. That's been the case with Medlin.
Center fielder, Adam Engel.
2 on, 2 out, Adam Engel, who has been on base 3 times in 3 trips to the plate today. And, you know, look, again, spring training results, throw them out the window, whatever it might be. But Adam Engel, there's a reason. You look at the numbers from last year, 166. He has made a significant change in his mechanics at the plate.
Well, there is a notable broadcaster that you're familiar with. His name is Hawk Harrelson. And what he said was, when the mirror looks good to you, you're going to become a very good hitter. And last year, the mirror didn't look good. So credit him with understanding what he was not able to do. And the fact is, he didn't want to live with it. When he looked in the mirror, he wasn't happy. He's a lot happier now, and hopefully he carries it forward through the season. I think he'll be able to do it. I like the changes he's made. I like the contact he's making in the spring. I like the fact that he's hitting a lot of them to right field. That part of it is really good.
Both the hits today have come to right field. Sox got 7 runs last inning. 12-0 lead over the Diamondbacks. And don't forget, we will be on the air again tomorrow against the Rangers. And then on Wednesday, the Sox and the Padres from Camelback Ranch. One and one. So if you missed it, Carson Fulmer today for the Sox through 4 innings, didn't give up a hit. He did walk 3, struck out 4. Three balls, 2 strikes. This could be big trouble, and is, because of the speed of Adam Engel getting down the line to beat it out.
That's a huge factor for a revamped Sox lineup, because at 9 you have Adam Engel, who can really get down there. You roll to 1, Yoan Moncada. You got 2 speed guys hitting 9 and 1. Which sets up the guys who are supposed to drive men in Garcia, Abreu, and today Delmonico and Davidson. That might change a bit, but I love Engel at the bottom with Moncada at the top, because both of them can steal a base. Both of them make the infielders hurry up, and I think lineup-wise, this would be really strong with those guys at 9 and 1. And Leury Garcia getting in at bat.
He'll hit for Moncada. And ball number 1. With the bases loaded.
Leury can do a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons this day and age of the 13 pitcher bullpens, you get one more move with Leury, because he can play everywhere. It doesn't matter. You put him in center field, you put him in the outfield, put him in the infield, he can get it done. Very valuable man on this team.
He gulps this ball to left center field. Fuentes going back, and he can't get there. It's over the wall to the Beachcombers. And Leury Garcia with a double to bring in a couple more for the Sox. Engel's going to have to go back because of the double, but the Sox do get Anderson and Skoll home. And the Sox lead 14-0.
Liuri is very strong, and he takes a low inside pitch with almost an inside-out swing, taking it to left center field. No chance at all for Fuentes, and again, in this lineup, it's not only 1 and 9, but you got Anderson at 7. So it doesn't matter who you put at 8. You've got a fast base stealer. In 3 of the 4 positions, the bottom part of the order, and the thumpers in the middle are going to drive home a whole lot of runs this year if these guys continue to do what we've seen them do.
So here's Jacob May in for Avi. Trying to check his swing on the breaking ball and went around 1-1. There's some balance to the lineup with Tim Anderson down there at 7.
There's no doubt, especially if, you know, both of us think he's going to have a really good year this year, because it's a time when youth, athletic ability, and experience all coming together at the same time. And the confluence, if you will, of those 3 coming together, and by the way, that's going to battle your word of the day, but the confluence of them coming together for Anderson, for me, bodes a big season for him.
You can vote confluence or senescence for today's word of the day. I don't know how you're voting.
We have no,
you can vote.
We have no mechanism for you to vote.
Just yell it out.
Please do vote.
Yeah. Ball and 2 strikes to May. And Jacob goes down swinging. Stuff your own ballot box if you have one at home.
We're Chicagoans, pal.
Bottom 6 next, 14-0.
With our Sox, and he is back. You look at what he's done this spring. This is his 5th game. ERA below 1, 10 strikeouts in 10 innings. He's going to prove to be a very valuable man coming out of the bullpen or as an insurance policy in the starting rotation. But we have a man who pitched 4 hitless and scoreless innings. And Carson, tell us how you evaluated your performance today.
Yeah, today was really big for me. You know, obviously as a pitcher, I'll never lose my confidence, but I was able to pound the strike zone. I think it was in the 2nd or 3rd inning. I fell behind a few guys, let a couple walks go by, but was able to battle and get out of it. You know, I definitely kept the momentum on our side, and you know, I got to give credit to Wellington as well. He's been working with me quite a bit, so I feel comfortable, feel great, and I'm ready to get things going.
When Coop came out to see you in that 3rd inning, what message did he bring to you?
Not to be too fine. For me, I'm a perfectionist, so I try to make the perfect pitch sometimes, but just really focus on the general area and just making the pitch that I need to make is really important for me. And today I was able to do that. I was able to force contact and got myself deep into the ball game.
You said as a pitcher you'll never lose your confidence. How hard is that to maintain?
Baseball is a tough sport, as you guys know. You know, it's the reason why I play it, though. I love the challenge. I love being able to go out there every 5 days and give my team the best chance to win. But in this game, you're going to find yourself in a position sometimes where it's hard to keep moving. But you know, for me, I've been there and I've done that, and I'm able to continue to carry on. And it's definitely something I look forward to each day.
What was the one pitch today that you were happiest with?
Oh man, you know, I was able to the first time through the lineup against Tomas. There's a couple of pitches in that bat. I was trying to go fastball in 0-1. Went two-seamer, missed down the middle of the plate, and he took it, and then was supposed to go fastball away, and ended up throwing a heater in. But that just tells you that you don't have to make the perfect pitch 2 times as long as you're able to command all your pitches and make the pitch you need to make. You know, I was really happy with you know, how I commanded the zone.
You gave credit to Wellington Castillo. How important is it for a young pitcher to throw to a veteran catcher if he has the opportunity to do that?
We're very lucky. You know, yesterday he set a couple of us down just to speak to us about a couple of different things. But you know, sometimes for me, you know, I get going and get too competitive sometimes. I need to slow down. Being able to have that veteran guy come out there and just kind of slow things down for you is really important. He's had a lot of success. You know, he's a guy of great knowledge, and you know, luckily for me, it's really, I feel honored to have a veteran guy like that on my side, and I'm going to continue to be around him as much as I can.
Toward the end of last season, you were throwing it very well and you were doing it consistently. So looking at your body of work from last year, what were the things that you brought forward into spring training that you really felt you had to work on to make you the pitcher that you believe, and justifiably so, that you are?
Just keep my rhythm. For me, I'm a quick twitch guy that likes to get going down the hill. You know, it's all about rhythm. A couple times I've went out this spring. I just haven't had that rhythm, and when I was on last year, I was able to get up high and drive down the hill. And today I found it. You know, I definitely feel really comfortable with where I am, and you know, like I said earlier, I'm ready to get things going.
You said Wellington Castillo slows the game down for you. How?
Oh man, he.
What does he say?
You know, just take a deep breath. You know, breathing's so important in this game. Just being able to slow things down and really concentrate on the task in hand. He slows it down even behind the dish. He'll shake it off a couple of times. He'll make me just take that deep breath, and even if he's walking me through it, you know, it's big for me, and you know, I'm really appreciative to have someone like that.
You have so many young pitchers. Both you have them in the bullpen, you have them in the starting rotation, you have guys waiting in the minor leagues to come up, but you have a veteran at the top of the rotation in James Shields, who's seen everything this game has to show him. What will he tell you? What kind of knowledge will he impart to you to help your transition to becoming a major league starting pitcher?
You know, I think we talk about our routines a lot. You know, he really stays on top of us with that. Just being able to figure out what works for you. You know, Shieldsy, he's a great mind to talk to. Had a ton of success and still is going. You know, but he's just trying to help us, you know, settle in, I think, more importantly, and you know, we feed off one another. That's another thing he talks about. You know, if Gio's out there, Shieldy's out there, Gonzo, you know, when they have success, we want to be behind it and you know, continue to carry that on. Because all we care about really in this organization is winning, and you know, it's really important for us, obviously, and just being able to feed off one another. You know, Shields definitely has instilled that in us, and you know, he's a great guy to have around our clubhouse each and every day.
So this question comes with a picture. Where do you keep your wedding ring when you pitch?
I keep it in my locker. You know, it's it's good. You know.
We've got a picture on of your wedding right
Oh,
now.
really? Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Yeah, November 3rd, we got married. My wife and I, Sabina, we got married this past year, and it was definitely a special day for us.
So, was that on top of a mountain or something? Like, where was that?
Yeah, it was actually down the hill from the venue that we were getting married at. My wife, she looked at me and goes, "Yeah, hill right there. We're gonna have to, we're gonna climb that up there right when we get done here." So, you know, it was definitely a breathtaking view and one that I'll always remember.
How many Sox people were there? Any of your teammates currently, or was it a smaller wedding?
Yeah, you know, it was a smaller wedding. You know, Sally was there, Giolito was there. You know, we had a few guys there. I had a lot of my college teammates there as well.
Who's the best dancer of the Sox who was there?
You know, Gio's getting after it a little bit, man. You know, I think that it was good to see. But you know, when you spend so much time with those guys in the clubhouse each day, it was really nice to have them part of a special day for me. But this clubhouse is great. It's something that I'm really fortunate to be a part of, and you know, I'm really excited for what the future holds.
How are the Vandy boys going to be this season?
Not bad, not bad. We're on a roll. We had a couple of tough games, but
I love college baseball because you still say we. I love that.
Always a door. Always a door. You know, Coach Corbin does a great job. You know, and I'm gonna definitely get back and spend some time with those guys.
You still talk to Walker and all the guys, or what?
Had dinner with them the other night. You know.
Who paid?
We always, you know what? I always try to. We get mad at each other because we try to take the bill as much as we can, but I got it before him, which is a good thing.
Wait a second.
Did you?
Carson, will you repeat that last sentence, because I seem to have this battle all the time, and I got to tell you, if I wait for Jason to pay for something, we'd still be at that restaurant from last year. So you guys try to take the bill? Is that what you tried to do?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Jason, he tries to take the bill.
Jason can't be having alligator arms, man.
My headset has stopped working. It's amazing how it happens around this time. You know, you're talking about Vanderbilt. I know you were close with Tim Corbin. Like, what did he mean to you? Because I've heard that from so many guys that played at Vanderbilt.
You know, he told us each day. You know, he's one of, or you know, I was one. The rest of my team, everybody was part of his family. You know, he treats us just like one of his kids, and you know, he was just on us each and every day. You know, he got the most out of all of us, and you know, being able to spend 3 years there in Nashville, you know, I matured so much through him and my teammates. You know, those definitely were the best 3 years of my life. You know, obviously getting the opportunity to go professionally after that and to get a great education too. But those guys that I spent the 3 years with, I went through a lot there and was able to create relationships that will hold the rest of my life.
By the way, do you get a ring if this is a shared no-hitter? Because we're in the 6th inning, and there's nary a hit on the Diamondback side of the ledger.
Yeah. Hey, as long as we win, that's the most important thing.
Well, I think you're in pretty good shape now. I mean, that's just me, but
yes, sir. Yeah.
I love that you're all about winning, even in spring training.
Absolutely. Anytime we get to play.
Carson, thank you very much for the time and for burying Lucas Giolito's dance moves.
You guys have a good one. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Carson.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Carson Fulmer, who started and threw 4 scoreless, hitless innings today for the Sox. It's 14-0.
post-game shows for all 82 games. Join the guys tonight at 6 before the Bulls take on the Knicks and flip back after the post-game.
That was really well done. You've been practicing.
I've been doing it most of the winter, and I'm still unable to do it consistently. That's what I'm looking for, consistency.
This ball for Jake Elmore hit to center field and one away here in the 7th. Great to talk to Carson Fulmer, by the way.
And congratulations on the marriage once again.
Yeah, he and Sabina getting married this offseason. At a beautiful venue, by the way. Best wedding you ever went to?
It's a good question. I will tell you, as a very young person, growing up in Cleveland, and having older grandparents, and they were from the old country. My parents were first generation this country, but grandparents from the old country had a lot of friends that, you know, they knew from back in Europe, in the case of Russia and Czechoslovakia and Hungary. And so they were older, and so I attended 13 funerals before my first wedding.
Oh boy. Well, that's certainly a positive moment. Into right field it goes, and there is a one-out double.
I can't remember exactly the best wedding I went to, but I'll figure it out for the next broadcast.
Well, Ryan Cordell, we do know, has a double, so you can put that in your scorebook.
He also, by the way, has shown a whole lot this spring. I mean, he was one of the guys that came in, and when I first went there to Glendale to talk with the coaches and Ricky and a few of the other guys around, he was the name that they all mentioned. I asked him for a surprise, and they said Cordell. I mean, keep your eye on this guy. This guy can hit.
And again, you mentioned it in the context of Larry Garcia, but Ryan Cordell can play all three outfield positions and can help you that way.
I think it's another very good addition. It's a smaller addition, certainly, to the team, but teams are made up of many guys who come over in deals that you don't hear a lot about, or they're what they consider throw-ins in major deals.
Zach Remillard with a fly ball to right. And out number 2 of this 7th inning with the Sox up big. We already talked to one of those guys. I mean, Nicky Delmonico was not a trumpet fanfare signee for the Sox. Nobody other than people in Sox camp, for the most part, thought he was going to be a big league player last year, and he turns out to be a revelation in some ways. Here's Omar battling with Kevin Smith behind Wellington Castillo at the catcher spot.
I'll tell you a story without using the names. There was a deal made that...
I'm going to ask you for the names. You're not going to tell me.
Yeah, and I won't tell you. But there was a deal made by a major league team that's very close to where we play baseball. And they had a shortstop that Philadelphia wanted, and Philadelphia had a player that they specifically wanted. And so those players were going to be the deal. But they wanted to throw in. And the first asking was another shortstop. And Philadelphia said, no, not that one, because he's going to be our insurance policy against injuries or whatever the case may be. And so the reports on this player as a shortstop, which he was, were not particularly good. They didn't know if his arm was strong enough. They didn't know if he could do this or do that, whatever. And so he came over and made the Hall of Fame. So that's what happens, and sometimes with the guy that you're not necessarily looking for as the primary in a deal, but you get somebody else and you bring him there, and all of a sudden, and the scouting reports are absolutely right. He would not have made a major league shortstop. Very accurate on the part of the Phillies. He did go to the Hall of Fame as a second baseman. So those of you who know who I'm talking about, that's great, and wonderful man and a Hall of Famer, and deservedly so.
Omar with a drive to right center field, and this ball clangs off the fence to bring in another run. It's an RBI double, and the Sox have 15 this afternoon in Scottsdale.
So did I mention to you that Ryan Sandberg lives in this area a lot of the time?
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to let you know that.
Apropos of nothing else. Sox are up 15-0 here in the 7th inning. Cordell scores on the double from Narvaez. Tell you what, we've covered a lot of ground today, and it's still just the 7th inning.
Is it the 7th already?
We got a cookie cake to
that's
gorge on.
After the game, you and I are going to be battling over that cookie cake because that's looking awfully good. And I love Yoman. What's it?
Hamon.
Oh, Hamon. Yes, I like the spelling. Usually they don't spell it that way.
Those are, we showed it earlier, but it's basically the spitting images of us.
Well, except for
cookie cake.
Both of the images have glasses, I believe. Aren't those glasses?
You wear sunglasses.
Yes.
You wore them earlier. I guess I got to sit down so we can show this.
Here we go.
Here it is. Stephen Hamon.
Hamon.
Thanks, Mike Farron. Appreciate it, brother.
Yes.
Wow.
Hamon is a good look.
Yeah.
Could I eat half of this just to taste it to see? I could be your official food taster in case there's something wrong here. I wouldn't want you ill because you're right now the only one keeping score. So I believe that this would be really nice.
I think it looks very good. I don't think just a taste is half of it. That's not how just a taste works, but a real good try by you. As Juan Perez hits for the Sox here in the 7th. Stop meddling with my cookie cake.
He's on the mound. Chris Medlin.
Hey, by the way, want to let you know that for our viewers looking for Bulls pregame live, tune to NBC Sports Plus. You got Sox for now. For the foreseeable future, actually. Up the middle and through. The scoreboard was of the belief that Zach Collins was hitting. Wonder if Zach also gets credit for that hit from Juan Perez.
He looks just a smidge shorter and not quite as wide, but he's able, through a shattered bat, to take it into center field. And the hit parade continues.
Indeed it does. Matt Skoll in the 8th spot. Sox scored 7 runs on 7 hits in the 5th inning. And that's part of the 15-0 fun today.
On the other side of the page, the Diamondbacks are still looking for their first hit.
Have you ever gotten to experience a spring training no-hitter?
No, I haven't personally.
I hope you understand the gravity of that question, and you're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was a serious question.
It was.
Fool that I was.
No, it was very serious.
Not?
You rifled through all of the games that you've seen very quickly. I wanted to make sure that you knew you were under oath.
Oh, okay, counselor, but let's see. Was I involved in one?
Were you?
No. I don't think I ever made it out of the 2nd inning without giving up a hit in spring training.
That curveball wasn't curving as much as it should have.
I couldn't get that thing to move if I stood on a ladder and threw it straight down till I got north. I got hammered routinely in spring trainings every time in Arizona. I didn't mind pitching in Florida in the spring. That was pretty good. But here, I told the story. I gave up 10 runs in the 1st inning to Arizona State, and if Bump Wills hadn't come up twice, I'd still be there trying to get them out.
10 runs to Arizona State?
Yes. Bump Wills led off. I got him out. Everybody got on. Bump Wills came up again. I got him out. Then a couple guys got on, and finally I got out the 3rd guy.
And that'll do it for the 7th inning. Steve Stone versus the Sun Devils. Coming soon on Blu-ray, 15-0.
Podcast today and take your team everywhere you go. Listen as Chuck Garfien and company break down the biggest topics surrounding the team. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Yeah, one of the big questions surrounding the team was who was the 5th starter. If Carson Fulmer had a rough outing today, would there be more question marks? And he made certain that there weren't any stemming from this outing.
We talked at the beginning of the game about, in the grand scheme of things, not an important game in spring training toward the end, but for Carson Fulmer, a big game today. And then when we interviewed him, that's the first thing he said about the game today. This was a big game for me because he was able to accomplish a few things that he really had to accomplish before being able to take on a full season as a major league starting pitcher, which is his intention. Confidence will not be his problem, which is what a pitcher has to have. A lot of people view as a negative arrogance, but you have to have the arrogance of performance to star in this game.
I'm going to beat the other guy. I mean, that takes arrogance inherently.
That's right. If there has to be a winner, nobody has ever told me why it shouldn't be me, and that's the attitude that each and every one of those guys have down there. And that's where you want your team to be. And it's Ricky and his coaching staff that have taken this team from many different places, many different times, many different skill levels, and trying to blend them into what he wants them to be, and they're getting there.
I thought it was interesting, too, Carson discussing, I'm never going to lose my confidence, but, because that means that for a moment or two here in spring training, there's been a question about the confidence being at the peak. Even that answer means that, hey, once or twice it rolls around in your mind, hey, let me be me.
Just one trip through memory lane briefly. When I came to the major leagues, I had 4 Hall of Famers on the San Francisco Giant team. Number 1 starter was Juan Marichal, then Gaylord Perry. I was the number 3 starter. Willie Mays was in center field, Willie McCovey at first base. Was in San Diego, opening start as a major leaguer. I had the ball in my hand, and I turned around and I looked at Mays in center and McCovey, and Marichal and Perry had thrown the first 2. I threw the 3rd. And I felt, you know, I'm a small right-hander from Cleveland, and I look around all of these guys who were eventually going to go to the Hall of Fame, and I thought, you know, I actually thought, and this is really strange, I thought when somebody hit a home run off me, it shouldn't count for a full home run because I didn't have experience, I didn't know what I was doing and everything else. And it took a while to where I felt that I belonged, and when I could not excel until I felt that I belonged, and yet it's a catch-22. I couldn't feel like I belonged until I excelled, but somewhere in the first 3 or 4 years of my career it all came together, and and things got a whole lot better. But it's understanding that, yes, you deserve to be here. Yes, this is your spot, at least for the time being. Maybe you're borrowing it, but it's your spot. Make the most of it. You know, give me the opportunity. I'll show you what I can do. It does take a while. And these guys have supreme confidence. I mean, at Vanderbilt, he just dominated. So you come to the major leagues, and suddenly everybody is the guy.
And not only did he dominate, but he dominated for a dominating team in the first place. They went to the College World Series.
No, it's so an amazing college career that, you try to take all the positives forward and realize that your college career is over and you're essentially starting from the beginning. And all of those stars, each team has maybe 1 or 2, and in some of the better programs, maybe they've got 4. And here they've got 9. They have guys that are the best of the best from all over the world, not just the college you happen to go to. And the guys that are coming from Latin America, they play every day. You come sometimes from cooler weather. You don't have as much time to play. So when you're competing against the best in the world, you have to know you're one of the best in the world, or you can't possibly beat them. And the best thing was a major league pitcher I went out to dinner with when I was 19 years old, and he said, you respect these guys that you're competing against, but don't hold any of them in awe. And he asked me what the best pitch I had. I said the curveball. He said, nobody anywhere, not Little League, Pony League, Colt League, Major Leagues, Minor Leagues, nobody hits a good curveball. If you have a good curveball, you can win in the major leagues.
It's got to make you feel pretty good.
Well, I thought, yeah, I mean, that's a great attitude to have, because his name was Mel Stottlemyre. He was a star with the Yankees, great sinker baller.
Pitching coach.
And just a wonderful all-around guy. Must have asked him 500 questions that particular dinner. It was a 4-hour dinner. Asked him everything I could think of, and he just explained to me that that's it. He goes, you're going to play against guys that you've seen in the papers, you've seen on television. They're guys that are going to the Hall of Fame. But you can't give them any credit for being anything, because it's a contest between you, the pitcher, and him, the hitter. It's the essence of the game. It's an individual battle in a team sport, and you have to win it to be successful, or go do something else.
Hector Santiago with a 1-2-3 7th inning, and the Sox maintain their 15-0 cushion. FreeWhiteSox.com Blacklist. Get breaking news, the latest videos, special ticket offers, and more delivered right to your inbox. Visit whitesox.com/blacklist to register today. Here in the 8th inning, the Sox will take their swings against former Wake Forest Demon Deacon Michael Dimmick.
The big right-hander, number 93, I believe, and that's what he did last year in the minor leagues. 1-4, ERA of 5.5, and you look at the rest of the numbers. Once again, more strikeouts than innings pitched, which is normally pretty good.
Sox have a former Demon Deacon that they just drafted last year, Gavin Sheets. big dude. Another big dude.
I was going to say a large Demon Deacon. Yeah, he's got some big power also.
So Victor Cruz will bat to lead off the 8th inning in the 9th spot in the Sox order. Sox with 15 runs and a no-hitter going. Oh, I just jinxed it, they'll say.
Well, you did.
Only we had control over such things. Sox will have the Rangers tomorrow. We'll be right back here on NBC Sports Chicago. And Sox and Padres on Wednesday on NBC Sports Chicago as well. To second base, and one away. Ten days till the opener in Kansas City. Sox will have a 6-game road trip to start the season at Kansas City for what amounts to about 5 days in KC, and then 3 in Toronto for our early trip to Rogers Center.
The most fortunate part of that is, of course, the roof on the ballpark, which will make it so that we won't have to look like Eskimos in your favorite sport, the Iditarod.
I do love some Iditarod. Foul ground third base side, and a nice play over there at third by Medrano for out number 2.
Well, Nicky Delmonico mentioned it earlier when we talked to him about how difficult it is with the high skies here. Today there's not a cloud in the sky, there's no contrast for you, and the bright sunshine, which you're looking right into, makes it really difficult. I've seen some excellent outfielders look terrible in Arizona because of the conditions. If there's any wind at all, it becomes more difficult, but looking up in the high sky with the bright sunshine in your face is really difficult here.
Let me remind our viewers as well, if you're tuning in looking for Bulls pregame live, it's on NBC Sports Plus. These baseball affairs sometimes don't have clocks on them unless you're in the minors, where the new rules have extra innings beginning with a runner at second base in minor league baseball this year.
I mean, they're trying everything they can to speed up the game a bit and, you know, give it a shot, because for the longest time they didn't really experiment with a lot of things that they could take forward into the major leagues. And so I applaud baseball for doing it. In fact, do a lot of things and see what works. And if it works, then eventually incorporate it here in the major leagues. And, you know, if they can speed up the game even, let's say, 10 minutes, I think it would be a good thing for everyone concerned.
Be a good thing for Bulls pregame live, that's for sure. 15-0 your score. Bottom 8 coming next. Spring training games live on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply for regular season games. Visit MLB.tv for details. New pitcher is a newcomer for the Sox here in spring training. It is the left-hander Robbie Ross, Robert Charles Ross Jr. second-round pick of the Rangers back in 2008 out of Lexington Christian. He was committed to go to the University of Kentucky, but the Rangers took him in the second round. And as Steve was talking about earlier, so many left-handers in camp this year for the Sox. And Robbie Ross, as Don Cooper was talking about earlier, with the hair, certainly Coop referred to as the Kentucky waterfall. Here is Robbie Ross, who spent some time in the majors with Texas and Boston, most recently the Red Sox, for 8 games last year. Sox still have a no-hitter going here in the 8th inning. And 2-0 from Robbie Ross Jr. to Rosario for Arizona, batting in the 1 spot now, which was previously occupied by Gerard Dyson. Hit well to left field, and this ball is off the fence, breaking up the no-hitter in the 8th.
Well, they've just changed the sizing on the rings. As this one rattles off the wall, the no-hitter is gone, inching ever closer to putting 16 on the board and winning this one.
It would take a mighty comeback.
A long comeback,
yeah, both in volume and time. So 1 on, and there's ball number 1. But we were talking about it earlier with Xavier Cedeno in his context, but Robbie Ross Jr., who joined the team in spring training, another one of those lefties out of the bullpen for the Sox. Into left field, another hit for the Diamondbacks, and they will get on the board with this extra base hit that's on its way to a triple.
This one just hit right on the screws, splits the outfielders, and for the first time in this very long spring affair, the Diamondbacks on the board.
So 15-1 is your score. And here is Christian Walker, who's played 19 spring games.
He's had a good spring. When you look at those numbers, 3 and 9 on the power numbers, pretty impressive, hitting over 300. You had 4 basketball games in 1 day in Boise, 6 overall in a short period of time. How in the world did your voice hold up? Because doing radio where you're describing each and everything that happens, how did you do it for 6 games?
I thought of what I was coming back to and how important it was that I be ready for you. RBI ground out makes it 15-2.
Okay, so really, how'd you keep your voice together?
Barely. And a lot of hot tea, and also try not to get kicked in the head by Ohio State's C.J. Jackson.
And that was one of the great things. And if, you know, some of you who saw the Ohio State game against Gonzaga, I was watching it because, you know, I've always been an Ohio State fan, and knowing they probably were not going to win, it was getting a little later in the game, and all of a sudden there was a pass made that was toward the scorer's table where the broadcasters were, and I didn't know exactly where Jason was. And I looked up, and I see this flying Buckeye named Jackson, not able to get to the ball at all, leaping over all of the broadcasters, over the table, into the first row completely. He comes away completely unscathed, almost knees my partner in the nose, which, by the way, is a, well, that would
sizable
be a cheap shot.
schnoz.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. That's a cheap shot. I was going to say I don't know how he missed it. But anyway, he almost killed you, and could have, certainly, if he hit you, but I didn't know it was you until I saw the replay, and I saw this diminutive fellow with glasses on and this giant person flying over him, which is why I want to get the tape of that, because I thought it was one of the wonderful things. But I did text you immediately saying, was that you who almost got killed by the flying Buckeye? And of course you responded, as you know, down the road a little bit, commercial break or whatever, that yes indeed it was you, and that your life was essentially flashing in front of your eyes.
I think of a song lyric, as a fellow once said,
yes.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Well,
is what was happening as he was coming toward me.
Ooh,
that was scary.
That had to be really scary.
Thanks to Russ Langer, by the way, for filling in while I was gone at the NCAA tournament, and thanks to the White Sox as well for giving me the opportunity to go do that.
You know, like nothing's promised to us down the road. You had the opportunity. Russ was kind enough to come in. They made a good choice. He did very well. And the fact is, you got to call a regional, and you had, you know, the overwhelming majority of the games were really good ones.
I'll take full credit for that. Thank you.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's the least I could do.
Thank you very much.
I mean, the very least I could do, which you know is my first choice.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the inverted pyramid of what Steve can do. 2 down here in the 8th inning. Boy, it's so interesting. You know, you sit at home in December, and there's snow on the ground in Chicago, and you think, is baseball season ever going to come? And now we're sitting here in spring training, and we are a week and a half from games that count in the standings. Sox will be in Kansas City, and then 3 with Toronto, and then off and running. There are a couple more off days baked into the schedule this year, but it is going to be grand fun. I'm terribly excited to share it with you and get to see some of these Major League ballparks I've not been to, and we're going to have a great time together and with you at home.
You know, I loved the young kids last year. It made an otherwise, you know, season that wasn't going to be so happy or successful. Just watching the young guys develop. And the same thing's going to happen this year. Is it going to be a great year? Most likely it's not. However, it's going to be a developmental, yes, it's going to be one of those years where everybody gets character. At any rate, so as we do that, it's going to be really entertaining, because we're going to see a lot of youngsters coming up, guys that you're seeing now, guys that you have seen if you've been watching us. As we move along, we'll do a few more games for you, but seeing the young guys develop again, it's going to be an exciting year, and hopefully Carlos Rodon comes back 100%.
Robbie Ross Jr. gets out of a little bit of a jam, 15-2. The Sox will go to the 9th. Talk a little bit more about the young player. River, Scottsdale. By the way, last time the Sox saw the Diamondbacks, Eloy Jimenez put a hurt on the Snakes. It was against Patrick Corbin. This is right after the home run we saw on WGN. He goes homer and triple.
Well, it's not going to be an isolated instance, and it's not only going to be the Diamondbacks that he terrorizes, because you can see him. He uses the whole field. He's got power everywhere, and the fact that he is fast enough to run into a triple is pretty good. So that's one of the guys that you're going to see. You're not going to see him when the season starts. You will see him down the road. I don't think that road's a long road, by the way, because I think he's good enough to to get here very quickly.
We found out after that game against the Cubs that we had on WGN that he talked his way into the lineup with Ricky Renteria. He said, I want to play in this game against my former team.
Well, he had, you know, his knee had been a little iffy, and then he was healing, and he was always scheduled to start the next day. So I didn't think we would see him at all. And so he comes up in a dramatic at bat. Sox are down. It's the 8th inning. He's got 2 strikes on him, and then he takes it opposite field to put the Sox on top. There was what he'd done this spring in just 4 games. I mean, you can hardly do much better than that. And I think just for guys who are trying to make baseball teams around the Cactus Leagues, they were really happy to see him get sent down.
Yeah, he can really tear apart your ERA.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's going to be a wrecking machine. He's going to do it for a long time, hopefully. He will do it in a Sox uniform for a long time, hopefully. And I think when he does get here, I think when the fans see him every day and see what we've seen in spring training from this young man, the first thing is they're going to be startled. The second thing is they're going to have a smile ear to ear that they're not going to be able to wipe off, because they know they're going to see a guy who has a chance to be one of the league's best year after year after year. I mean, that's who he is. That's what he is. And he's only going to get better. He's still so very young. So his talent, the talent is superlative. And will he take the next step? Nobody can tell you. But if he doesn't, it's only going to be because of some injury that will be terribly disappointing. It won't be for any other reason.
Saladino strikes out, 1 down. Every sign points to, not only in his skill set or his size, but in his drive as well. We talked about this the other day, that one of the things that he said when he was coming out of the Dominican Republic was not only does he want to make the majors, but he wants to be one of the best players in the majors. That was his goal from the outset, and not everybody says that.
Well, we got a chance to interview him, and the first thing that jumps out at you is what a very nice young man. 2, a young man who knows exactly where he is, and even more importantly, knows exactly where he wants to go. And that was the guy that we saw as a very young player who hadn't even put on a Sox uniform yet, and nothing he's done to this point diminishes the feeling we got on that day.
Ryan Cordell skewers another ball, this one up the gap in right center field, and he decides to make it a single on a nice play in center by Fuentes. Daryl Boston, who Nicky Delmonico doesn't think is very funny.
I'm sure,
first base coaching box.
I'm sure Daryl appreciated that.
Uh-huh. You hold your own batting gloves, is what Daryl will say.
You also have to appreciate the fact that Daryl is larger than most people around, so I'm not sure you want to talk about his sense of comedy too much, especially in front of him.
1 on, and a foul ball for Zach Remillard. Playing third base now, spent some time in A-ball with the Sox in the minor leagues. What was the highest number you ever wore in spring training? $150?
I think I started in the 60s because I came as a non-roster player to the Giants originally and had no chance to make the rotation as a non-roster player. And then eventually I wound up, I think, with 29 when I made the ball club, and then they sent me down and I wound up with another number, and I probably wound up with at least 8 or 10 numbers over the course of a career that was really good for a short period of time and okay the rest of the time. And so you wear a lot of numbers. You know, you can't just have one number. Well, that's my number. I would like that. But, you know, so I preferred the number that I wore whenever I could get it, which was number 32. It was in honor of Sandy Koufax, who I viewed was not only one of the great pitchers around. What I even respected more was the fact that he was what I wanted to be off the field to represent a Major League Baseball player. And everybody that's ever associated with him will tell you that he has been a classy individual from the time he started in the major leagues to what he is today. Saw him on television. He looked great, and they were showing a game with him at it. And, you know, just it was more the off the field things. Everybody knew he was great, but I wanted to be what he was when he wasn't throwing a baseball. And that's one of the things that I respected about him, and still respect to this day. Had a chance to talk with him a number of times. He's a wonderful man, and he's a humble man. I mean, you know, and when you look at what he accomplished, it's startling.
The short wave for the final out for the Diamondbacks. 15-2, the Sox in a blowout. Bottom 9 coming next in the Sun. In attendance every Thursday home game, excluding opening day, to get a specially designed shirt. Get your single game tickets now at whitesox.com.
So you pretty much put me in the trick bag there, you little fellow, you, with the pointing to me when you're holding the promo, and I'm panicking because I don't have a promo that's coming up on the screen.
Your turn, read it.
Drew Hassler coming in the ball game. You look at what he did in the minor leagues, and of course, Kurt Hassler is his father. He inhabits the bullpen for the Sox, and I'm sure he's a very interested spectator at this point. So we wish the best for Drew and his career as he moves down the road.
Former 34th round pick of the Sox back in 2015 out of Valparaiso. Got a couple games with Charlotte last year, 5 with AA Birmingham, but he spent most of the season in the Piedmont Triad region with the Winston-Salem Dash, the advanced A team for the White Sox. Had a 3.28 ERA with Winston-Salem last year. Drew? You know, we were talking about guys wearing big numbers in spring training and the numbers that you have worn in the past. And you don't hear about it all the time. But if a player comes in and there's a jersey number that he wants for a specific reason, he asks for it. If a veteran has it, that player just kind of has to pay for the jersey number. They work out a deal in some way, some sort of trade, right?
Well, depending on the veteran who you ask, I doubt if you're going to be a rookie with the Dodgers and get Kershaw's number. I mean, that's
certainly not.
You can work out whatever deal you want to, but it's probably not going to happen. So I was wearing 32 with the Southside Hitmen. I had come back to the White Sox as a free agent with the Southside Hitmen. And I had 32, and we had a young outfielder who came up, had not played in the major leagues, was there. You know, maybe he was going to make it, maybe he wasn't. And he wound up making the team, which was really good. It was really exciting. He turned out to be a really terrific guy and a pretty talented player. But I was, at that point, I was 8 years in the major leagues, and he came up to me and he goes, you know, everywhere I've ever gone, I've worn 32. It's always been my number. And I would really love to be able to wear 32. And I said, well, I can certainly understand that. And when you get more than 10 minutes in the big leagues, come back and talk to me about 32, because this has also been my number. And so he actually played with another number and actually played pretty well. It was a good kid. We wound up to be good friends.
You could have extorted money from him, though. You could have You could have created some sort of deal. See, that's why I brought it up again. That's what I was going to suggest, that if you're a veteran who's not attached to a number, you could number squat. Essentially, if you know that there's going to be a rookie who's really attached to a jersey, you take that number and then you take money from the person.
Is that essentially like what I know you probably did was you took like the domain names, was it the
cyber squatting?
You got like what 5,000-6,000 of them, and then people had to come to you for any number of things. I mean,
that happens to be illegal, so I can't admit to doing it. As the Diamondbacks have a pair on here in the ninth, but it's the same idea, right? I mean, if you're not nostalgic in any way and you're a veteran and you know a young player is really in love with a certain number, you just take that number for their spring training and you make them pony up.
Exactly right. I mean, I'm sure Ohtani went to Pujols and said, "Are you attached to that number, Al? And I would really like to wear that." But
it's not for everyone.
Oh, it's not a one-size-fits-all?
No, if you're a veteran who's not really attached to a jersey number.
That would be a veteran who has not gotten to the team to wear that jersey yet, because most veterans kind of like the number that they were the best at.
What does it matter? It's a jersey number.
Some
might say.
We are a very superstitious bunch, the people that inhabit this game. And if you've had any success anywhere with a specific number and now you're able to have it again, I mean, some guys do. Some guys do sell their number or trade their number for services and whatever, but I don't know how often that really happens.
You were around Turk Wendell too much.
Turk Wendell
Talk about superstitious.
Turk Wendell was one of the most unique individuals I'd ever seen, and a terrific guy, by the way, but he used to jump over the line backwards and chew licorice, and everybody thought it was tobacco, and he used to brush his teeth between innings. I mean, it was all of these things that he did. It was he was really one of the classic characters of the game, who everybody would have known had his arm not kind of blown out before he really needed it to, but a good guy with, he seemed to have invented superstitions that nobody knew about beforehand.
He brushed his teeth between innings.
Between innings.
I seem to remember that, and I'm glad you locked that in. There's a recovery at first, and save! Saladino didn't get back to it in time. The bases are loaded.
Thinking of two before you get one, that's pretty much it. Tyler looks at second, but then he doesn't get him.
Yeah, good call by Jeff Nelson over at first. So Drew Hassler trying to get out of trouble. He would love a double play ball here.
He's not the Lone Ranger.
Sox will play the Rangers tomorrow. That's a segue. Join us on NBC Sports Chicago. Ground ball, but foul. Carson Fulmer today.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I thought he was really good. I know he's mad at himself about the 3 walks, but I thought he was really good because I thought most everything he threw moved. I thought he went through periods where he looked like he was literally unhittable, and then obviously, some focus issues. But
there's the ground ball, a 1, a 2, and a 3. Sox do it from pitcher to catcher to first, and Hassler finishes the game. Carson Fulmer and the Sox get the win, 15-2.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, it had all the drama of a quilting bee, but actually everybody came out, everybody was healthy. Guys that needed to work got their work. Very happy bunch of White Sox in that dugout, and I got to tell you, it was a pleasure to have you back in the booth again. This extravaganza is hopefully left to the spring, unless, of course, the Sox take as much time as they want to and win the ball game, which is what happened today.
Well, we had some fun with baseball cards, fun with some hair, and we'll do it again tomorrow. How about it?
Absolutely.
All right, Sox and Rangers tomorrow. For Director Jim Angio, producer Michelle Godwin, associate producer Chris Kampka, tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Greg Bowman. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long, everybody, from Salt River and Scottsdale. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago. Good day.